Hello, friends and fae, and those who have yet to decide, and welcome to this wonderful stream on Hoard of Tales. Thank you so much for joining us for this, our second part of our Vaesen game, which we started way back in March, if anyone can remember that far ago. I couldn't till today. My name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns, and I have the incredible honour and privilege of being the game master for this, or now two shots, and for this incredible cast of folks. Now, before I go and ask this wonderful cast to introduce themselves, let me tell you a little bit more about Vaesen and what the stream is about at the top of the session. So, Vaesen is a horror mystery tabletop role playing game which has been played on a few times on this channel before, which draws inspiration from mythology and folklore and focuses, as a keen focus on monster hunting. Based on the work of Swedish illustrator and author Johan Egerkrans, Vaesen was published by Freely back in 2020. Anyone seen me GM before knows I'm a massive fan of Freely games, don't get me wrong, and Vaesen is no exception. I'm delighted I get to come back and run this game for you here this evening. If you enjoy watching this game and you enjoy what we're doing here, and you want to try out Vaesen for yourself, go check out the Freely website. They've got tons of stuff, and it's all based on the Year Zero engine, which I can explain in a moment. But with all that in mind, the world of Vaesen is set at the turn of the 19th century, a time in which many countries underwent radical change and transformation, changed by industrialization, war, and revolutions, as well as new ways of thinking and understanding spreading throughout the universities and academia in general. The old world of folklore, tradition, and superstition is being questioned by the new, and conflict that arises from such questioning comes in many different forms, both mundane and supernatural. As with all campaigns we run here at Hoard of Tales, we've done our session 0. I know it's a long time ago, but we did do one. We've gone over our lines and veils, and we have some safety tools in effect. However, I just want to take a moment to say to you out there, the redcaps, the pixies, and the pukas, out there watching us play this little story, I just want to give you full permission to keep yourself safe and to take a break from watching our story should you need to. As I always say, you are more important than the roles on the table or the story being told. Finally, the scenario we're using for this two-shot is the Hampstead group, which comes from the mythic Britain and Ireland sourcebook. I would ask those who have run or played through this particular scenario just to be a bit mindful and not put any spoilers in the chat and just keep those secrets till after the stream. Because if you do put any spoilers in the chat, well, I cannot guarantee your safety from our Bogart moderator, whilst its tricks are never truly deadly. It would be a shame to have all your nice crockery overturned and all your favourite stool being broken now, wouldn't it? Well, I'm going to ask this wonderful cast now to introduce themselves, going clockwise from me. I believe it's then Taylor, then Melissa, and then Sakaya, or not. I will just go in that order anyway. We'll find out. Cast, I would like you to introduce your name for me, your character, what you're playing as, and then we've got an icebreaker question as always, which is what is your favourite fairy tale when you were growing up? So let's start off with Taylor, if that's okay, please.
Hi, yeah, I'm Taylor. I use she, her pronouns. I'm playing Betty Blythe, the writer, who also uses she, her pronouns. And my favorite fairy tale from when I was a kid, I had a collection of Hans Christian Andersen stories that I
Mm-hmm.
read a lot. And I think the original Little Mermaid is probably the
Ooh.
most memorable just because it's so melancholy
Mm.
and kind of brutal. And I've always really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, all Hans Christian Andersen tales always have a bit of a sad ending. They don't have that
Yeah.
Disneyfied, and they live happily ever after. It's like they did not. No, very good, very good. Melissa, please, could you introduce yourselves for us, please?
Yes, hi, I'm Alicia, and I play Joan Constance, and I go by she, they, and Joan goes by she, her. And I was gonna say Little Mermaid, but the Disney version, because
Okay,
we were not allowed any of the hands, anything spooky, witchery, demonicy was not allowed in our house. So
that is
all I
fair.
knew was the Little Mermaid Disney version. So
That's
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I still think it's a cracking tale, so no worries there.
Yeah,
So we got two different
yeah.
versions.
I've now enjoyed both the original and the new live action, I guess.
Oh yes, of course. Oh, fab. And then last but by no means least, Sakaya, please.
Hello, I am Sakaya. I go by she, her pronouns, and I am playing Sally Hargreaves, the servant, who also goes by she, her pronouns. And I liked a lot of Brothers Grimm, but I was
Mm.
obsessed with. I went through a phase where I was obsessed with pirates and the animation of Ray Harryhausen. So I think Sinbad
Ooh.
was something that I read lots and lots and watched lots and lots when I was
Heck
younger.
yeah. Heck yeah.
So
No, yeah.
yeah.
Sinbad, always just so different and so interesting. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, my wonderful, fine bunch of Thursday's children. And of course, it would be remiss of me not to answer my own icebreaker question. So for me, I had a big think about this as well. And similar to what you were saying about Brothers Grimm, I seem to recall there were these fairy tale books in the UK that were like the pink fairy tale book, the blue one, etc. And in one of those
Andrew
books,
Lang,
Andrew Lang, thank you so much.
editor.
I
Yeah.
was like, I could not, because obviously all I can remember is the story. I can't remember the names of the stories. And I remember one particular story from that was um, the very stereotypical setup: a princess meets a witch, sorry, wishes for something and then disappears, and so everyone in the kingdom is very sad. And I believe her guard or some sort of footman who was charged in looking after her was so sad that he put like metal bands around his chest, and he was known for being someone that would laugh so loudly that his chest would like rumble like jelly, etc. And there was a riddle to bring back the princess, which was like, what falls on water but never gets wet. And then one time he realized what it was. He saw it and he came back to the witch. He said, "It is a shadow." And he started laughing and it broke. I remember this visually. That broke the metal like barrels, sort of belts around him. And the princess returned in a moment. So there you go. If you're ever in doubt, it's a shadow is the answer to your riddles. Yeah, so before we start our story, I'm just going to quickly talk about the main game mechanics you're going to see here that come up in Vaesen. So it's based on the Year Zero engine, which you might have seen quite a bit of before. It is a dice pool system, and basically, whenever a character would like to do something where there's a tiny bit of risk, I'm going to ask them to describe what they're doing. It's always good to know like what exactly people are trying to do, and then I'm going to ask for them for a role that combines one of their attributes and a related skill. By putting the levels together of that attribute and skill, that's the dice pool of d6s that they will get to roll. And in most situations, all they need to roll is just one success for the task in question. Really simple, dead straightforward. However, my favorite part of these games is that you can always push the rolls. You can grab any dice that don't show a success and you can re-roll them. This is not without risk, however, as pushing a roll means that our characters will gain a condition, either a physical or mental one, depending on what the task is. But this does not come into play until after they've done the roll. And essentially, when you get a condition, it just subtracts one die from their pool when they're making checks. And the important thing to note is conditions do stack. If you get too many conditions, well, the character becomes quote unquote broken, and they may not perform any further actions for now, and they will also sustain a critical injury. Let's hope they don't do anything silly like, I don't know, walking into the lair of a fae, because that would be really bad, wouldn't it? Oh. The one last thing to note is that Vaesen prides itself on being a horror mystery game first, rather than a horror survival combat game. While we may see some combat tonight, she says, but the focus is on trying to work out what the conflict is and how to resolve it in a way that doesn't lead to violence. That is something to figure, but it doesn't have to figure. So just so people know. Okay, Thursday's children. Our admin is all out of the way. Are you folks ready to go back into our little story?
Yes.
Fantastic. So, I will read the prelude from the scenario. So, I have a little recap of that, and then we'll go into the story so far. So, amongst those attracted to Hampstead's finest houses and pleasant views are a growing number of artists and other creative types. Newford House is a home to one such colony, whose activities and lifestyle scandalize the older neighbours and fascinate the younger ones. At the heart of the Hampstead Group, as they and their adherents call themselves, is a wealthy and mysterious woman, Catherine Kitty Danville, who became the owner of Newford House after the death of her banker husband a few years ago. Every time the word banker comes up, I have to make sure I say the word banker, because there is something in the UK phenomenon, which I can see Sakaya is nodding a little bit there, or you might say a different word, which we will not say for the stream. Anyway, she immediately set about transforming this luxurious house from a symbol of her husband's status into a vibrant artist colony. In addition to the artists, the writers, and musicians who call Newford House home, creative types come from all across London and further afield for Kitty's salon evenings and week long festivals. It is whispered amongst her followers that she numbers Oscar Wilde amongst her discarded lovers, and was the reason that he forswore women for the rest of his life. She, of course, refuses to comment. Our little mystery began at the home of the Society, which our free players are members of. The Society is a sort of secret organization, a sort of well-to-do in higher circles and stuff, where they are tasked with finding out the sort of sources and causes of various mysterious happening, which there is believed to have some sort of fey or supernatural elements involved. Of course, we have Miss Joan Constance, a investigator of sorts, who takes us to the highest part of Rose House. Rose House being an old building along from the Thames, sort of near towards Tower Hill and the Tower of London way. Maybe some newer members to the society have been Miss Bitty Blythe, a journalist for Wonder Weekly or Weekly Wonder. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I suspect it doesn't matter too much that there's maybe two different newspapers that get the same material as a result. An American has come over to, again, write about such strange encounters. And of course, a servant that has been sort of assigned to make sure Bitty does not get into any trouble, so to speak, Miss Sally Hargreaves, who is also a member of the society as well. This team has been on several adventures together. Again, as I said in the last stream, success of them, they leave them up to themselves, but they have a knowledge that the fae and the folklore does exist. There is some reality of it in this world, and each of them has something that they possess called the sight. They are able to see Vaesen, whereas sort of the mundanes and the normal folk, she says in quotation marks, cannot. How they choose to see the fae is completely up to them. There's no mechanic way for it, but you will notice something supernatural happening when it should come up. But as I said, our mystery began with a letter to Miss Joan Constance from her goddaughter, Amelia Beddoes, who wrote to her sort of out of frustration and as a last resort. Miss Constance, you remember that whilst you were particularly fond of your goddaughter, maybe ties with the family were not so friendly in previous years. There was a talk of swordsmanship lessons going awry and unladylike, I believe was the term. But Amelia had written to you, obviously knowing of your work, and asking you to help find her wayward brother Martin, who had gone missing. Martin had been described as an artist, a creative, one that wished to find himself and break free from the sort of traditional expectations that had been sent to him from his family. And his last known address had been Newford House, where he'd been writing to his family every month or so, doing the typical thing that most creatives do, which is ask for money with palm out. Um, Amelia detailed an experience of where she herself went to London to try and find Martin, as her parents were ailing and was sort of preoccupied with their own sort of affairs, and she was starting to grow worried because they had not heard from him. She went to Newford House, sorry, at Gladstone Place, and despite having an interaction with the various artists and sort of leering of male gazes from the residents there, she did manage an encounter with one Kitty Danville and came away from the experience unnerved. She was like not like any woman that Amelia had come across before. Something unnerved her about her, and the way she sort of glossed over Martin's disappearance, admitted that he had been here for a time but had since departed, didn't sit right with her, and so has asked you and your colleagues to investigate this further. Each of you went into some little investigation stuff, trying to find some clues to be about what the Danville estate was about, anything to talk about who this mysterious Kitty Danville was, and anything else. We did a wonderful split the party three ways and investigated three different locations. Sally wisely went to go talk to the servants of other houses nearby Newford Place and gained information that all the servants had been let go roughly 2 years prior, which coincided, as Joan found out from the newspaper, the Hampstead Gazette, that it coincided with the death of Edward Danville, the husband of Kitty. I will say, though, the obituary did not say anything suspicious or untoward had happened to Edward. It was more a man who had lived a life too well, too much food, too little exercise, and too much excess, I guess, is the right word that maybe the Victorians would talk about it. Bitty had fun at the police station, making a new friend in Sergeant Gerald Hall, who was turned out after some rolling was a fan of their work in the newspaper, and gathered that there had been an incident not a week prior where a gentleman had been arrested for the stealing of a bike and then a stealing of a helmet. And it turned out from looking at the police report that this was one Martin Beddoes. But the next day, one Kitty Danville had come to speak to Martin and brought him back to the house. In the report, it detailed how he did not wish to go back and that she will find him, and seemed relieved that he was being arrested and went to great lengths to be arrested as a result. Our team put their sort of clues together, and so I'm just going to recap the clues I have so far, and this is where I would ask the players to chip in afterwards if I have missed anything. So you get the sense that Kitty and Edward Danville arrived from Scotland a couple of years before, and then 2 years ago, Edward died. Since then, Kitty has transformed Newford House into this symbol of culture and, well, depravity, perhaps one would say. There are loud parties, big noises and stuff throughout the evenings, causing a ruffling of feathers with our neighbours and such. The police will go and arrest one or two, but they're always let out the next day, Kitty paying bail and insisting that they must return to the house. Kitty herself is a mysterious individual. There are pictures of her dressed in very fashionable clothing out in the sunlight with a parasol and such, some with her husband, some with not. But she hasn't been seen in many years. There's been rumours, I believe, Sally heard from a cook of a nearby thing, that one dinner party that she and Edward was invited to, she was sat next to the Bishop of Southwark, and suddenly in the middle of dinner stood up and refused to be part of the conversations anymore and left, never to return. Um, there was talk about what kind of Vaesen, if a Vaesen exists, because there is such things as very powerful women who like to manipulate. It's not beyond the supernatural for women to do this, and also it's a pretty badass thing to do. I do say so myself. But what kind of Vaesen should this be? There was talk of whether it could be a vampire, a creature that relies on charm and allure. There was talk of creatures and fae that are about being muses and sort of subsisting on creativity and such. But as all of you sort of realise, not much in terms of creativity had come out of Newford House. No paintings on the wall in the National Gallery, so to speak. No little ditties being sung at concert halls. And then, Joan, you recalled with Bitty's help there had been a conversation you'd had on a previous mission, something to do with red cats and whales. Oh, so nasty business. But that a friend of a friend had come down, and in sort of passing, they talked about a dinner that they had been to, which just so happened to be around Newford House. This individual, again, a Scottishman, very difficult to read, not so much because of the big bushy sort of ginger red hair with flaming sort of beard, gruffness as all traditional men in these stories are, but also had a very thick Scottish accent, which I will no way reproduce this for this stream because I do not want to get cancelled either. But an argument, a confrontation happened, which ended with this gentleman leaving. But before he did so, pointed at the top of the table towards Miss Kitty Danville and said the word "glastic, glastic." The talk of this revelation of this shocked the rest of the people there, but you yourselves had not connected this to your investigation. And let us not forget the visions that Bitty had with the sort of using her talent of automatic writing on her typewriter. Oh, so fashioned now. But again, getting these visions of fairy tales, this idea of three billy goats gruff, and that the big goat at the end, rather than continuing the story and going over the bridge, descended, went under the bridge, and ate the troll itself. We ended last session with the party once again splitting in two, with Bitty and Joan walking in to Newford House after being greeted there by one Miss Kitty Danville. Again, as I sort of described her, strawberry blonde hair, fairly thin, wearing all sort of black, a long skirt, a high top collar, dressed impeccably, but surrounded by what I would call a frat house of gentlemen lazing about, sort of in stupors of various that had been sort of brought on by either alcohol or drug paraphernalia. One that actually got Joan very cross, realizing that these gentlemen, that yes, of course, there's men, that sort of sentiment there, but also they've been tricked in some way to being here and not been able to leave under their own will. Miss Sally stood back a little bit to see what would happen, and seeing her two colleagues go into the door of the Newford house, has pulled out her gun, which I forgot she had until I rewatched it back. I was like, well, whoops, I forgot you had a gun, and is now working out how to save her friends. And the final scene we left off was as Miss Kitty was ascending the stairs, bringing her two visitors to a parlour upstairs, that Bitty noticed an outline of a hoofed sort of foot out of the long skirt. I would say not actually seeing one, but definitely the outline of one because it hit so peculiarly. So, unless I've left anything out, I'm sure there'll be something. No.
That was a good summary.
Yes, I do try to rewatch my streams sometimes. Let's start with Sally. So, Sally, you are outside, and as I described before, it is a beautiful house, Newford House, very traditional London house. Hampstead is, as I've described, you had to come out via hansom cab. It's further out to the north. Beautiful brickwork. It's noon. It's sort of still midday, and you can hear the like low gramophone like music. There may be a fiddle somewhere. Someone is getting up for practice. You can also smell uh, the smells of like last night's alcohol. There's always that sort of weird, horrible stench that it permeates places. And thankfully, you did not put your foot in it. But there is definitely, you look into the garden. There's definitely every so often you can see a little patch of sort of brown gunk, as you think maybe one of the patrons of last night's festival might have been what I would call did a tactical chunder, so to speak. Sally, what would you like to do?
Well, I think Sally, she's very, very nervous now.
Mm-hmm.
As we approached the house, we had a discussion about what kind of Vaesen Kitty could possibly be, but everything was still, at that point, kind of speculation. Didn't like to sit next to a bishop. Well, Sally doesn't really like to sit next to the bishop either.
Terrible bore.
Yeah.
Always going on about Sundays. Yeah.
So all of these things were kind of like, well, they're strong clues, but there's nothing kind of definitive. And then as her companions go into the house, she gets this first kind of bit of real physical evidence. The iron railings very purposefully removed.
Yes,
And a
indeed.
bit of a shiver goes, yeah.
Yeah, around the garden, we describe this like sort of walled garden, and that compared to all the other houses along the street, there would be sort of very traditional. Let's keep people out of this lovely garden, sort of iron railings. But yes, all of them have been removed, and you could tell where the plugs were in the stonework, which frightens you quite to the core, as you are aware that quite a few very strong Vaesen have an aversion to iron.
Absolutely. Shiver down the spine. And I think Sally was going to wait things out for a little bit, check exits and entrances and just sort of keep an eye on the street. Joan and Bitty have got this, the two of them together, but now very worried. So she does reach into her little handbag type thing and take out a small derringer. But I'm going to kind of like hold the handbag sort of against me and then the gun behind it.
Yep.
Keep it hidden. And she's at the moment in her head, she's not seeing the need to fire this because firing a gun in the centre of Hampstead is not advisable.
Yes.
If it could be avoided, it would.
I mean, guns in general and polite society is pretty much. I don't
Yeah,
know about
you
Sally,
know.
but it's a bit of a no-no. But who's to say?
It would be heard. Let's put it that way, and it would certainly raise a bit of attention. But I do hurry at this point. I don't think she's going to make much. There's no stealth involved here. I'm going to hurry up the
No.
stairs and into the house.
Into the house, absolutely. As you get there, the door is closed and it is locked. As you try and open it, is locked.
Interesting. I think rather than making a big fuss, knowing that they could be quite near to the other side of that door, I'm going to hurry around to the back of the house, checking for any open windows along the side as I go.
Absolutely. Let's do our first roll of the game, shall we? Let's see.
Warm them hands up.
Is this definitely an observation check? I wouldn't use empathy as your sort of attribute there. I think this is more of a logic thing personally. As an observation logic, if that's all right. And of course, you have a condition. This is the other thing from last time: is that everyone here has a condition, one condition, and yours was hopelessness, which is probably even more. You feel it more so now.
Yeah, absolutely. 1-6.
Ooh, one success, excellent. As you're making your way around to the side, again, it's quite a long. You can tell at some point this was a proper manor house, clearly like lords and ladies. Think Bridgerton type places where maybe a ball or two would have been held here, and quite a lot of these houses would have had similar things. Before you can get round to the back of the house, you do notice like an open window and the sounds of the gramophone are playing out of it. You hear the odd groan or two coming from inside, but the window is open and it is at a decent level for that you could easily hoof yourself in a way, climb up and get through without too much notice, you think?
Absolutely. So if you remember, Sally is she's fairly well presented. So around the side of the house, she takes a quick look up to the street. I'm going to hoik my heels off and and kind of just strap them together quickly,
Yeah.
and then like shift my pencil skirt up my legs a little bit and try
Of
and
course, yeah, I've got the pencil skirt, yeah. Oh.
nip through the window as quick as I can.
Yep, absolutely. You remember the whole sort of legs together thing. You put yourself up across, and your feet, without your heels on, touch a carpet, a very soft carpet, so you don't make any noise. And you've come into almost like a fairly big room. You can see that at one point it was lined with various bookshelves. Clearly would have hundreds, if upon thousands, of books, of the old sort of type where you couldn't necessarily read what the title was without pulling out in sort of blank, the blank sort of core of it on there. In this room, there are several gentlemen in various poses of like, where they basically tried to find sleep wherever they could. Again, the aftermath of a party has clearly been happening. The music's still playing. Maybe it is sort of stuck on a particular like going around. You can hear the gentle snoring. You could definitely see two individuals, gentlemen, that are very comfortably together, hugging slightly on the couch. Someone is draped over like a blanket or so over them. One of them drooling ever so slightly onto said blanket, perfectly happy and content, is snoring away. And there are many different doors leading out, quite a few of them already open as well. One of them doesn't have any doors on at all. Again, this place, it's a bit of a wreck. Clearly, whatever party has been happening here has been going on for weeks, maybe even months. So you are indoors, though, and no one so far has awakened to your presence.
I am obviously in a hurry to find out where my companions have got to, but not knowing that they have already checked various unconscious gentlemen within the house to see why they might be in this state. I think Sally would also just give a cursory glance to see if there is, like, if it's more than just obvious intoxication, Um,
Great, I like that. Um, how are you doing this? Are you doing this quietly? Are you going up to them and waking people up? Like, what's your plan here?
no, she's irritated by the jumping record and wants and really
I know.
well, she really
Oh.
wants to take that needle off, but she knows that the change in the noise is a good indicator that
Mm,
something's happened. So no, places the heels down by the window. She's going to kind of forget about her shoes for now,
mhm.
and I think go to maybe the most unconscious looking gentleman and actually pull up the eyelids and, and kind of check the
Yeah.
how jaundiced does the skin look, that kind of
Is this person in need of a doctor?
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you probably go to, yeah, let's say you go to one of the individuals in the sort of hugging posture. Like you can sound like completely out in that sense, like sort of snoring away. I'd say for this, let's just do it straight away. Let's do a logic investigation check for me as you want to suss stuff. I know the other two did suss this last time, but you were not here for this, so and also be a good reminder for the audience.
Yeah, and I'm happy. This is not really her forte, but
No, but you are worried about these gentlemen.
yeah, there's no successes there.
No success. Apologies. I shouldn't have said logic. I should have said medicine. So I'd let you re-roll that again because I'd said the wrong check there.
It really makes no difference, Fiona.
Oh dear. Okay. Here's me trying to be very helpful, but no, no, no. Yeah, you go over to a gentleman who, let me get a little description up here. Yeah, he's clearly wearing the clothes that he was wearing last night. Sort of a long, sort of big jacket with big sort of collar to it. Uh, he has like a cravat S type thing, a big bow, which is obviously a skew with. He has a very tiny little moustache, little let's say Charlie Chaplin S type moustache. Not any other people that would ever wear such a moustache. Just so we'll put that out there very quickly, but long foppish hair as well that's sort of all over this gentleman's face. As you lift up the eye, he goes, "Ah," and it starts to wake up. But what you briefly get is that no jaundice and stuff. It just looks like imbibed too much. But this gentleman starts to wake up and is holding another gentleman in his wake, so he's slowly starting to wake up.
So yeah, I should clarify. Like Sally's not particularly interested in their health. So
No, you do have
she
other things, yeah.
she works very hard for a living and has a little bit of a disapproving scowl at these men that have just got money to, you know,
Yeah.
imbibe whatever and lays about. So it was really kind of like, am I going to get any signs of a sort of Fey or Vaesen activity? No, I can't spot anything for sure.
You couldn't spot just at that. They
Yeah.
reacted as soon as you touched them, unfortunately.
Um, and realizing that I might wake them up, I am literally I do a kind of like shh, 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 like, and then
Ah,
hurry to the door.
yeah, yeah. You said, like, go to sleep, go to sleep. And this continues to drool on the other gentleman.
Yeah, pull the arm of one gentleman over the other one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You help, like encase them even more. Fantastic. Yeah, and so you slowly but surely sort of tiptoe your way across people, and I will say, you sort of come to a sort of great big hallway, and you can start to hear a conversation that we're going to come to in just a second of Kitty and your colleagues. So you can hear them there a little bit further up the top. It'll take you a little while to get there,
Sure.
but I'll have you think about what you'd like to do. So, in a few minutes prior, Bitty and Joan, you have been following Miss Kitty Danville, who has taken her time, almost sort of in her long sort of draping, sort of almost morning clothes as she's gone up these stairs. You've had to step over various individuals who have sort of lain themselves out, catatonic, so to speak. And as she sort of reaches to the top, she's sort of like, I appreciate we might not have any brunch items in, but I can see if any the kitchen. Well, I'm sure one of these fine gentlemen will give us something. If you'd like to step into the parlour, and she sort of points to a door open to her right.
Mm, Sure, we'll step into the parlor very cautiously.
You step in.
I'm
Go on.
clocking seeing what's around us. It's not just blindly stepping in, just making sure we're checking if there's like other doors next
Yeah.
door, what's in our surroundings, and when we open the door to the parlor, well, when I open the door, making sure to see where the windows at, where the exits are.
Yeah, Bitty, you're very used to Joan, the eyes going wild, but it's more about calculating, okay, these are to the two accents. And you've definitely, at one time or another on previous missions, had to make use of a window as an untraditional exit from said rooms.
Yep.
Is there anything that Bitty would like to do at this point? Yeah.
Yeah, I think while Joan's looking for kind of the tactical, like, how are we going to be able to escape here? Are there any dangers? I, having seen the hoof or
Uh-huh.
the outline of the hoof,
Mhm.
and knowing the thing about the bishop,
Mm.
I'd like to look around and see if I notice. This is kind of a weird way to describe this, but if I notice anything that's like missing, like a lot of
Mm.
houses, especially like older houses, might have like built into like the decorations, like, you know, religious kind of motifs, or even
Mhm.
like wallpaper might have things like that, especially if she didn't build this house. So
Mm.
I'd like to look around and see if there's anything that I noticed that's been like covered up or
Mm.
taken away or those kinds of things.
I love that. That's great. Okay, so I'd like both of you to make for me. It's going to be a logic check of some sort. So I think for
Mhm.
Bitty, it's going to be a logic investigation. But I think for Joan, it's going to be logic vigilance because yeah, you're sort of like looking everywhere for stuff. If that makes sense.
And if we
So,
have equipment, because I have writing utensils and paper that I can get a +1, I think, to investigation.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to
Okay,
use
so
them.
I can use that for here. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
so
Because I think I
the
probably already had my little
I think
notepad
you
out. Yeah.
shown
the
Gerald.
so the
Yeah.
notebook and pen is +1, right? For
If you were do you have equipment?
yeah,
So you don't have to use it for your one because you're looking
no,
around and stuff.
I don't. I have equipment, but I don't think I need. I have a magnifying glass, but I don't think I'm pulling that out
I mean,
for.
it'll be a bold move. I'll tell you that.
It's very bold.
No, so I think so. It'll be a +1 for Bitty's roll, but you will not get a +1 unfortunately
So,
because you're doing something
for
different.
my understanding,
Mhm.
at the moment, at my vigilance logic, I have a 1, and that
Mhm.
means 1 die, right?
Correct. Yes. Is that in total, or is that including your condition from before? Because you were angry
My
before.
condition is -1, and my
Yes, unfortunately.
vigilance logic is 1 die.
Yeah. So in that case, you are unable to do this check if it cancels each other out. If you see what I
Hmm.
mean.
Hmm.
So you're looking around. I want to give you something. You're looking around. There are as you get into this parlor place. Again, very very big. These houses are big empty places. There is a fireplace. No fire just now. It clearly went out at some point overnight. There's picture frames stuff like, but it's a little bit discordant, a little bit all over the place. There are big windows though, with the curtains quite drawn across them. There's little bits of sunlight coming in, but you notice sort of two big ones, and then you can see another door, sort of double doors that go to an adjoining room. And this is you'd expect this in Hampstead as well. That these usually they make them in sort of like long, big rooms, and then subdivide them with like connecting doors and there. So there are ways out of this place. So you've got all the exits covered. Bitty, what was it that you had?
Yeah, so I rolled 4 die because I got +1, but then I had to take one away. So I
Mhm.
got no successes, but I think I might want to push.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you're going to push, that will add a condition to it, and these conditions do stack. What condition are you thinking? It will be probably another mental one because you're not doing anything physical. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe so the two because I'm already frightened. So the two options I could take would be angry or hopeless.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, hmm. I hate to take hopeless so soon, but I don't know if angry fits.
I think you'd be seeing maybe you're feeling the same sort of vibes from Joan about like actually these are just pathetic individuals. They didn't deserve this sort of thing. If you want to stretch
Yeah.
that far, because I pity, I'm like, you're like, I don't care about these individuals. What is the mystery? We're trying to find Martin, you know.
Yeah. I think that's been more the vibe, but I think these are just guys, so yeah, I guess maybe angry on their behalf.
Just
They're
guys.
just
Well,
ordinary guys.
we're just men.
men.
We're just men. That is a reference
So
that only a couple people will get, but it's brilliant. I love it. Thank you. Anyway,
so do I re-roll all failed dice if
correct.
I push? Okay,
Yeah,
let's try those
absolutely.
again. Oh, thank God. Okay, 1-6.
All
I
right.
thought it was none, but
That was amazing. So yes, so now going forward, then you'll have a -2 to roll until you can clear those conditions as well.
fine.
So you got a success, and you were looking around to see if anything was missing or sort of out of place or anything like that. Um, again, it's hard to tell with this information that, like, okay, because it is, it's a bit of a devastated site. It's like, you know, it's almost as if Kitty has forgotten to clean up because she's had visitors, and there's just, you know, there's a couple of like blankets over stuff and all that sort of thing. The thing that strikes you is that, you know, it's noon and these big curtains are like shut, closed, with the light coming through. And what I would say is that I can't remember if we established what day it was per se. Let's just say, for story's sake, it's a Sunday, and it says quite warm in this room. Like, it's quite stifling hot. Again, you know, that sort of sense after a party. There's and people's bodies being together in the same room. There's like a heat. And the sweatiness and the alcohol. It's quite musky in this particular room. So you think it was sort of used last night, and maybe instinctually, like, "Ow, I'll just go open a window." As you sort of go to open the curtains a little bit, like, no one stops you. I'll say this: you open the curtains, you can see that these windows are, and I think, yeah, this will help with Jones' sort of check as well. These windows that are looking out on the, let's just pick we'll say the west side, are nailed shut, like absolutely nailed shut. And as you sort of, like, you look down at that and go, that's really weird. And you look out, you just happen then to look out in the distance, roughly about 2 or 3 miles away, but you can definitely check out the steeple, is a church. And ever so faintly, you can hear the sound of church bells ringing as the service is being let out. So there's a little bit of information for you that the windows towards this church have been nailed shut with nails that aren't made of iron. I'll just say that.
I was gonna
quickly.
say.
I'll say that quickly. Wooden nails of some description, copper nails. I don't know. But yes, I realized I'd mucked that up. But yes, they are. They are.
I
not,
was just gonna ask if I would also notice that is it noticeable that they're not iron? Because I don't know the
Yes.
iron thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. You don't. It's because it's, if anything, it's been like, actually, you know what it is? It's like blocks of wood have been put down, so it's not like nailed shut that you will not be able to
Okay.
get out. Like, I think to help with that, because with that check that Melissa did, like, it will be hard to get out of this window if you were, for whatever reason, getting through it. It can happen. You can either go through it or, like, try and do some sort of check to get the wooden blocks under it. So it has been nailed shut, but using wooden blocks, like the old-fashioned sort of. And yeah, these are big, big windows as well. So it's quite unusual. So, like, again, the must of this place is quite significant.
Okay. Cool.
In the center of this place as well, as you sort of come in, there's no individuals in this one. There's no splayed out man carpet a la like tiger fur or anything like that. There's nothing like that here. But there is, like, various chairs and armoires, like a chaise lounge, which Kitty, behind you, she sort of let you go ahead of her and then would go in after it, leaving the doors completely open, indicates that she to sit or wherever you feel comfortable. And she takes up a chair next to the fire, which you would assume would be her chair that she normally goes to. So you wanted to talk to me about dear Marty and about his disappearance, which is so sad. I'm so sorry to hear.
I will walk up close to the fireplace, but not sit down because
Mhm.
I don't trust anything,
Uh,
and I need to be mobile.
yeah, that's fine.
And I'm like, yes, dear Martin has was spotted, seen, known to be here, and
Hmm.
he's now missing.
It's so sad.
When was the last time you think you remember seeing him?
Well, maybe over a week ago or so, he didn't say where he was going. People come here and go all the time. You know how it is. These artists, they've got really restless souls.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. What did you have any of a close connection to Martin, or is it more like you don't know anyone that's in your house?
Oh, so bold, Miss. I don't believe I got your name. I.
I don't
So
believe
rude of
I
me.
said it.
No, no. May I ask, as it's just a courtesy, then I do know who every visitor or resident of my house is, and I like to make friends because, as they say, strangers are friends we haven't met yet.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. One day, you never know. We might grow to be friends.
Oh, I do hope so. It is such a bore being the only woman in a household such as this.
I can only imagine
So you
surrounded surrounded by all these lackadaisical um semi-conscious.
Oh, they are fine. You know how young strapping lads they like to it's I believe it's something with the creative spirit. They like to get the sense of everything. And well, I as a patron of the arts, I can only just I just really want to help them. You know, ever since my dear Edward passed away, I've been listless and I just wanted to give back. I know he would have wanted it.
And how do you patron these very talented, and I say that in the most scoffed
You don't. Constance doesn't do this, but
no,
even Bitty is like, "Oh, I felt that."
Yeah.
the most scoffed of ways of artist. I say the word artist. How do you patron them? And as we walked by,
Mm.
I saw near no art being displayed.
You don't necessarily have a creative eye.
Ah,
You see, I know that artists need a space to work and to be close by and so. So please excuse them. They are. How do you say the artistic spirits require certain conditions to flourish? Much like a mushroom does, one might say. And the results are, well, as you've seen, a work in progress. Um,
yes.
I have seen many a painting and poetry reading, and even some, dare I say, a new play coming soon. But I once they are close to finalizing, often the my dear boys, as I like to refer to them, they insist that they must go back out into the world, and so I oblige. If all I can do is give them a place where they can feel safe and comfortable, then well, or comfortable to express themselves, that is what I do.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. So comfort is what you're selling.
I
Um,
believe the questions were about Marty, right?
Indeed.
And I
How
didn't quite.
comfortable was he as
I
he was?
Well, you didn't answer my first question, Mrs.
Oh, Constance.
Constance. What's Bitty doing in all of this?
Yeah, I think maybe this is maybe this is kind of cheesing it, so feel free to tell me if you
Oh
don't mean to do
no.
this. But while Joan is talking, I'm feeling angry and frightened and feeling a little bit like I need to center myself. Like I'm like, okay, we're in a I can tell we're in a dangerous situation. If we need to get out this window, like stuff is gonna have to happen.
Mhm.
So I do have my memento, which is a manuscript that's been passed down from
Mhm.
my family. And I think as Kitty's talking about art and like
Mhm.
I'm seeing that there's really no art here. I don't know if we ever established what this manuscript is. I think maybe it is something creative. Like
Mhm.
it's like a bunch of short stories or something and it's like
Mhm.
the family kind of passes it down and maybe there's like stories from different people in like
Oh,
previous
It's
yeah.
illuminated
generations of like
religious text.
Hmm.
um so I think to kind of get my bearings, I'm just kind of flipping through this manuscript because there's a comfort to it. I've read it so many times
Mm.
and I'm seeing what like, it's not professional necessarily. It hasn't been published. Obviously, it's a
No.
manuscript, but it is actual art, which this
Mm.
person doesn't actually seem to be fostering. um and maybe use that to get rid of my frightened condition.
I
Still
love
angry, but
that.
maybe not frightened.
Yeah, so using this sort of memento that you have, and yes, you can do this once per session. You can use your thing to clear a condition. So absolutely, you can do that. My question to you: what's your favorite story in this anthology that your family has sort of contributed to? And again, I would say at some point, please feel free to tell me if Bitty has contributed already, or is in the process of writing something then to add to the back. That could be also something, but again, possibly for a future thing. But like, what's your favorite story that you'd like to go back to, and maybe go to this
Yeah.
input just now?
Um, I think the stories vary, and like some of them are like allegedly true, so they're more like like not really short fiction, but short like essays kind of thing. But some of them are like short fiction,
Mhm.
and I think maybe there's one that is a fairy tale, maybe something to do with the fae
Mhm.
but it ends happily that
Mhm.
there's the characters go through danger and there are parts of it where it seems like something like really bad is going to happen
Mhm.
but it does end happily in the end. And
Mhm.
I think I kind of mutter to myself. I still have my little list of Oscar Wilde quotes from last
Yes.
time, so I think I kind of mutter to myself as I read it. The
Mhm.
good ended happily and the bad unhappily. That is what fiction means. And it's just this
Oh.
kind of fairy tale with a nice ending.
As you sort of mutter that, obviously Kitty's been sort of talking to you, and she just sort of turns to you and says, "Oh, I didn't know you knew Oscar."
Oh, anyone who's anyone knows Mr. Wilde.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, he's well, he was here for a little time as well. I just I quite liked that. I'd say, do you have Ernest with you, your dog?
Oh yeah, my dog.
Yeah,
I was like,
your
Ernest.
dog in a bag, as I called it last time.
Yeah, I remembered I had a dog. I forgot that I named him. Yes, I
Ernest
do.
is
He's in my
sleeping.
bag.
Poor Ernest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely in my bag.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. It's making sure that you haven't sent him out to do anything else. That's fine.
No, no.
Cool. Oh, I see your and she sort of glances at it. She doesn't really say anything about the manuscript that you're very having a quick read over. She goes, Miss Constance, I appreciate, how it is seen that I am a widow who then surrounds herself with young, well, or the youth. Please, I don't intend any misfortune or anything to happen. I simply just encourage them to blossom like the flowers they are, and then when they're ready, they go back out into the world. And really, it's a delight to hear that they enjoyed their time here. But that is all I do. I am just simply, like I said, a patron.
Would you know anyone or remember anyone who actually hung out or had some type of friendship relationship with Martin in the house that you could point me to their uh yeah,
Hmm.
she very much discusses going their place of enlightenment.
Oh well, I'm sure I can rustle up some of the other residents. Oh yes, he was a very popular guy. I think one thing's to say. But you did ask like when I last saw him, and I feel remiss not to give you the true information. Well, he disappeared a night, and then next thing I know, I find that he's all alone at the police station, arrested. And so I had to go and obviously get him out there and make sure he was okay. He said that he'd been wanting to go to the Lake Districts. You know it well. It is gorgeous. He'd been inspired by another resident here, William. I don't know if you've read any poetry at all. He liked his daffodils, and so Martin had talked about going to the Lake District, and now that yeah, I'd like both of you. And I think at this point as well, I'd say, Sally, you've sort of crept up and you are hearing this conversation as well. So you're within a bit. All of you can make for me she says, trying to find the sheet. A, it's going to be some sort of empathy test for sure.
Mhm.
I don't think it's empathy manipulation because you're not manipulating per se. I think it's an observation because you're trying to suss like what is she saying? Is she hiding anything? So yeah, empathy observation. And remember, those who have conditions take a -1 out of the pool unless you have equipment you'd like to use.
I have a question. The
Hmm.
resource scores. I
Hmm.
don't. I have to. What were they for again?
I can't remember off the top of my head. We'll leave it to the break, and then
Yes.
we can come back to it if that's okay. Because I
Yes.
don't think it will. I don't think it will necessarily help you in this
I
situation
know.
unless
I just
unless you're going to get like a big magnifying glass and up and go and look at her paws or something. I don't know.
no,
Like
no, no. I would not be
I think
looking
I think
at.
resources is probably like connections, and so I think that might actually be the thing that you used last time to get the
Yes, to get
information.
the thing. Yes.
I think it's
Yeah,
your
and I think
fund.
yeah, I think Bitty. I think people did use it last time. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll come back to it in the break if it's relevant. So
Fiona, may I also ask if I'm approaching now, just the layout that I see? In other words, does Kitty have her back to me and I can see my companions, or is it the other way around?
I would say for ease, you've probably just followed up the big staircase, and so you were following their trail in. So you probably, if you're glancing around the door, you can probably see the both Bitty wherever Bitty is in the room. Again, we haven't clarified that. Constance, Joan, sorry, is next to the fireplace, and Kitty is sort of sat in a thing. So you can see Kitty quite clearly at this point. You can see that there is another adjoining door, and you can work out where that is, and you can obviously go there if you wish to, but you might need to do like a sneak check to get past
Yeah,
this
I'll make this
door. Yeah,
observation first, and yeah.
not a problem. Okay, so yeah, so
I before I make the observation, I was grabbing my notebook to see if I had any more questions for her.
you go back to the notebook that you almost gave to Roland Blake,
Yeah.
uh, which you just
I have
scribbled.
many. I have many notebooks.
Yeah, they've all got
Many
different.
fake, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
fake
exactly.
ones. You've got this is your real like
The real,
moleskin one.
the real
Sure.
notebook.
All right, so that's going to be a +1 to your
Yes,
+1 dice to your roll, which will cancel out the condition that you have because you're
yes.
still angry
So I
currently.
just have one die.
Oh gosh. All
Yay!
right. So what did people get?
I did get one success.
One success.
I get
I
no success.
No
Yeah, I
success.
had no successes, and I'm not going to push the roll because I think it kind of it makes story sense that I'm maybe not
That's fine. That's fine. So I
knowing
think
as much
For
from where I am.
clarifying as well,
Mhm.
sorry, for clarifying as well, I am still over by the window that I like wanted to look out. So I think
Yeah,
I
that's
also didn't take a seat and just kind of stayed
yeah.
over there.
That's totally fine. Yeah, so it's a very interesting tableau of like the Hercule Poirot, like I brought you all here and nobody sat down.
No, exactly. No one
Yeah.
So
wants to sit next to the person who
yeah,
actually.
Kitty is happily sad, and she doesn't say anything when you go over to open the windows and like look at the thing or anything like that. She doesn't say anything. She sees you do it, obviously.
Hmm.
I think for Joan and for Sally, you can what you get is that you see that she sort of is like very thoughtful and is maybe doing a much better job than Fiona is of being like, oh, I'm not suspicious, but she is like giving information. What she says is true, that she did go and get Martin out of the police
Yes,
station.
because we've gotten that information, so we know
So
that's
that lines
true.
up with what you know. And the talk of like wanting to go for Lake District and stuff. This is the first time you've heard about it, but again, you don't really know. You've never really met Martin. All you
Nope.
got was this letter from Amelia saying that he was sort of a creative lot and was prone to stuff to like running away from home and being an artist. So this wouldn't surprise you in a sense of like this is something that artists do. They get um, inspired to do random things like I don't know, going to the Lake District randomly and not telling people where they've gone. Pity.
I would also like to do some type of looking around where I'm standing because I'm like,
Mhm,
as I remember, this is an old, you know, very old Victorian-ish, maybe.
mhm,
There's normally um like a railing around the fire.
mhm. Yeah, and it's like a fire god. The fire isn't
Yeah,
going just now. I'd say it's been burnt out. So it's like because it's mid morning. Also, it's very stuffy and
yeah,
stinky in
yeah.
this room. So a fire to that would be horrendous. It would like you're in some sort of hellmouth type thing.
Yeah, so just
Um,
to like this figure out like Biddy like what is missing. Like you said we're not seeing any art. We're not seeing like books,
mm,
notation stuff, no pens, no
mm.
nothing.
Yeah, you
So
can't. It's a bit hard. You maybe have the sense at this point. Maybe that's the reason why you don't necessarily get what Bitty's going to get in a second. Is that you suddenly go the fireplace and just check to see if there's anything been burnt there
yeah,
mysteriously, but you can't see anything. Anything that was burnt there has been burnt to several ashes that have now since cooled.
yeah.
But Bitty, something's not right. Like it's all too convenient. Like oh, he just so happened to get arrested. You were there. You talked to Gerald. You read the police report, and the words, "She will come for me," and maybe this is where the iron thing comes into it now. Is that he talked about wanting to be arrested and felt reassured when the railings of the thing were iron. So you have a sense that something's not right. Why would he willingly go back to a place he's trying to escape from and then disappear? The story of wanting to go to the Lake District and being inspired by Wordsworth, you don't buy it. You've read Wordsworth. Sod daffodils. They're rubbish, right? Who are lonely as a cloud? Blah. It's a very stereotypical, pathetic way of writing poems. And of course, the Lake District. You've passed by the Lake District. It's fine. They've got a couple of Munros. But so what? So what? The place, the where the cool things happen are in town, and this is where you've got come back to things. So everything about it, you're just like, it's just off, and you don't like how she is. And then you go back to like you keep looking every so often at her legs to see if you can see anything else. But her skirts are quite over the top of her, and you can't make out any shapes and stuff like that. So you are on edge still, I would say. But just to go quickly to Sally, so you've not gained any insight per se, but you are not. She's not seen you yet. Do you want to go investigate the rooms? Do you want to move yourself away or announce yourself?
Yeah, I think Sally's got a couple of things going through her head that whilst Kitty is being occupied, Sally feels she can really take advantage of this situation and maybe try and get some other bits of information.
Hmm.
Um, I think if I can't, so if I go near to that doorway, I'm directly in Kitty's eye line. Is that what
I
you're saying?
think put it this way. Imagine. I appreciate this all theatre of the mind. It's a long corridor. There's loads of doors leading off it. You can hear noises and stuff of people groaning and stuff. Various people around. The door is still open. She's not shut it. You suspect because she didn't want to frighten necessarily two people who are clearly looking for exits by shutting the door
Mhm.
there. So you can make a quick like leap across and then continue down. That is possible, but it would require a check for sure because you maybe are trying to time a conversation where she looks over to Bitty and starts talking to Bitty, who is near
Yeah.
the window. You see what I mean?
I mean, there was a part of my thinking that I'd almost, try and make eye contact with Joan or Bitty to sort of like, I'm okay. But I
I
think if
I
it's going to
would
be too risky,
I no. I think
Mm,
you three have worked together before.
mm,
It totally makes sense that Jones checked all the exits and now is in doing her her Hercule Poirot, her Sherlock Holmes bit
Mhm.
to the
Yeah.
person of interest. You can see Bitty sort of turned around looking. Probably again, you probably have done this previously as well. So I would say, yeah, you can easily sort of make an eye contact, and Bitty, you'd see Sally as well, especially Sally. You're making sure that Bitty is not in danger. This is the key thing. So you're probably like, hey.
Yeah.
You know, like, are you okay? You know, trying to do various hand
Yeah, I
signals.
definitely mouth "Are you okay?" But I do a kind of like, finger to the lips. And I think I don't know if this is a Hampstead house. Is what, like, 4-story? Do the stairs go further up? I'm thinking,
For
where's her
convenience,
lair? That's what
that's
that's what Sally's thinking.
great question. The stairs don't go up continuously. There probably is more
Okay.
stairs further along.
Mhm.
Um, you can definitely go and try and find Kitty's room. It will buy you time.
Yeah,
You know where she is currently, so you
yeah.
can
I'm
absolutely
going to
go.
search rooms essentially. Yeah.
All right. What I'd say, because you're going to have to get through this, Barrett, it is going to be a precision stealth, but uh, with Bitty's help, and a Bitty will come to you in a second, you can get a +1 dice roll. I know you got condition, whatever, but like Bitty, you can distract in this moment so that Kitty is focusing on you, if that is something you'd like to do.
I do have something I'd like to do that I think would be distracting.
Do it.
I don't think Sally's gonna like that I'm doing this.
Oh no. Oh no.
Because I think what I want to do, I'm not frightened anymore, but I am angry. And I think hearing these, like, I'm almost feeling like not powerless, but there's this person here who is holding people against their will, but making them feel as though they're not being held against their will,
Yes.
and kind of taking away their will to escape,
Mhm.
and feeling a little bit like, I don't know, that could happen to us. It seems like she's mostly focused on men, but who knows if that's the extent of it. Um, and I think that with the are the church bells still going at all, or is there still sound coming
It-
I
from?
was
yes.
so hoping you would do it.
Yeah. Because now you've asked, yeah, it's because you know how like it's like it takes a while and people are still congregating and stuff. So
And
it's
there's like the little songs
Mhm.
sometimes that they do
Oh.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sakaya
I'm
is not
gonna
the slightest bit upset.
I'd I'm gonna wink at Sally very subtle, kind of like subtly and quickly, almost just like a blink. And then I am going to just elbow the window to try to break
Oh.
through it, because I'm like, there's no talking to this person. Like, she's just gonna keep lying. We know that she's lying. Like, we know she's lying. We know something's up.
I mean, I thought you were going to open it. I thought it
Yeah,
was about
I
getting.
thought you were gonna be part of it. Like, I'm
I
gonna
thought it was just
elbow.
about church bells.
Yeah.
Well,
I was
there's
like,
no
oh, she's gonna
talk.
open it. Okay, great. And then you're like, no, I'm gonna physically open it.
You
The
know,
American way of. Oh my
Very
god.
much American.
I'm gonna
Oh.
wrap quickly, like kind of wrap the curtain around my elbow and just try to elbow like and break the window, because I'm thinking it's gonna be too obvious if I reach up and try to like take the planks down. I'm just gonna do some quick
Sure.
violence.
Oh, a trip.
Quick violence. Okay, cool. So just so I have this right, and that everyone
Uh-huh.
in the stream sees this as well, your plan was someone who is a member of society, a high well-to-do lady, in a house
Mhm.
filled with fairly out of it gentlemen who may come at the beck and call of this lady at any point. Your plan
Mhm.
is to quote unquote break the window where the church bells are ringing.
Mhm. Look.
Also, this person is suspected of being a Fey Vaesen. Sounds
So,
good.
so you're saying
No,
maybe I should
no.
should rethink this.
I think we've laid it
No,
out.
no
We planned
inferiorness
it out
is staying to
now.
it.
This
We've
is a
laid it.
two-shot.
Yeah.
We're
I
here.
always
We're
like
here.
Bitty. You could play the dog next. That'd be great. Anyway, for this to work,
Uh-huh.
I think you need to do either. I think it is either it's a forced physique roll because you are
Okay.
You're because it's not as I think before at least you could mess around with it, but this is an actual action you're doing, and
Yes.
I don't know how often you've had to break windows. It now makes me question everything about your previous missions. But you're going to have to do that before you can help with this
Okay.
check. So I'm just going to say that to you now. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. This is
Uh,
so since this is physical, I don't have a penalty to it, correct?
I believe conditions stack regardless of it. It's every roll that you do.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is I have two.
They're just split into different conditions because then when you get
Okay.
3 of the
Okay.
same type, you then get
Well, but
broken.
at least am I at least noticing her wrapping that thing around her arm, going, I'm in confusion. Be- Biddy?
Yeah, yeah. So you're not even hesitating. You're like, so you weird kitty. Wait, what's Bitty?
What is Biddy doing? All right. Well, I have 2 dice to this,
Okay.
so I'm sure this will be great.
Come
Two
on,
dice.
here ends the London Order, or the London Society.
Okay. I didn't get a success on either,
What do you mean
but
they're rehiring you again?
Would you like to
uh,
push the roll? I guess a physical condition.
yeah, because I could take. I don't have any physical conditions,
No.
and I think wounded probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Uh huh. Mhm.
You soon won't be able to roll any dice. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
I got a 6.
You
Yes.
did it, Biddy.
You can't keep
You've
Biddy
lacerated your elbow,
down.
but you've got a 6.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So let's
Biddy to the rescue.
let's come to what happens. And what, from your point of view, Sally, as you're about to make your own roll of stealth precision with an hour +1, I know which cancels out from your condition from before. What you see is Bitty go, got it, wrap something round her wrist, and they go, "Ah!" and break the glass. The sound of peeling. You see a couple of cuts and stuff on her arm. But they're not nothing too deep or anything like again thinking of Lands and Veils. Like it is just superficial because it's more the strength of it, and also the wood itself. You can tell it's quite old and stuff, so it is rotting in certain places as well. Instantly, Kitty suddenly shoots up and says, "What do you think you are doing?" and rushes over to Bitty, very much distracted as a result. So, Sally,
And
can you?
I'm just, I'm very much right behind her.
Right. So yeah. So you're sort of almost like, oh dear. So you're sort of like going
Yeah,
over
trying to
Bitty.
getting Kitty out of the way of reaching Biddy.
So yeah, you're sort of getting in the way. So this almost distracting. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sally, let's do your roll. So stealth precision roll, please.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to push that roll.
Okay. So precision. Let me just get this right. So precision is also a physical one because it goes logic and empathy are mental, and physique and precision are physical. So choose a physical condition to have after you get this roll.
I feel like
I mean, I don't know about you. I'd be exhausted by what was
that's
going.
what I'm going for. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
I
you
think
need a pay rise after this. I think.
yeah, Sally sees the blink and goes, "Oh, great, Biddy's got it."
Yeah.
And then there's just this shattering of glass, and for a second, Sally's frozen on the spot. She's like, "That's not what we rehearsed." and so probably, but can't waste the sacrifice, so has to sort of like run.
Absolutely.
And that's one success on the reroll. So
Amazing. Yeah. So you using this distraction slip past the open doorway and into the bowels of this place. Yeah, you can see lots of these rooms are very similar. Again, these open adjoining rooms and stuff. There are people in them, but again, not don't have the wherewithal to find it, and you're basically going as far away as you can because you assume, not that you've ever gone into the lair of these creatures before, you assume that wherever if she is who she says is the lady of the house, she probably has a big master bedroom somewhere at the back of the house. So I'm going to say you're going to we'll see you next when you're going to find that room.
absolutely, yeah.
Meanwhile, back in the parlor,
Meanwhile, something's happening.
Something's happening. Kitty comes over to you, and you can. What would I like you guys to do? I think you wouldn't need to roll for this because clearly you can tell Miss Kitty Danville is very upset. She's like, "What do you think you're doing? Like, you can't just go around breaking windows and stuff like that. Is very, very uncouth. What, And it's like, who do you think you are?"
I'm gonna profess by saying, oh, it must been an accident. She's such a klutz. At the-
Heck, wow, brutal. What do you do, Bitty?
Does the sound seem to have affected her at all, or does she just seem mad that I broke the window?
Interestingly enough, so again, because I'm not going to make you roll for this, because I think what you did was very, let's say, word brave.
Yeah,
Um,
wild.
as
Wildest.
she comes
Wow.
up to you, but because the way you've opened the curtains, it's one of those sort of not bay windows, but like it opens out a little bit, so there's a little bit of space where you've broken into. She doesn't come fully into the light. So you don't see her like fully. Again, the gloom around this place, it almost sort of like attaches to everyone like shadows. As she comes closer to you, you can see that she's like is incredibly angry at you, but she also looks like she's like getting like some sort of headache as well.
Okay.
You would look, Marty isn't here anymore, and I would appreciate if guests to my house would not break furniture or break my property. I would
I
request that you.
thought we were artists here, and I thought this would be a fine exhibition of adding a little bit of spice to the room, a kind of impromptu kind of art.
There's a record scratch from
Yeah.
downstairs.
Yeah, yeah.
See
E-
how the light now hits the
Even Joan
ground in
looks
this
at Betty
way?
like, "Oh my God, Betty."
There's kind of a star shape now from where the window panes broke, and I thought you'd enjoy it.
There's silence as Bitty just sort of Bitty, you're Bitty, Kitty and Bitty, the great fight we never thought was happening. Kitty stares at you like the sort of grey blue eyes just piercing. Goes, there's a difference between creativity and just pure recklessness and violence. I must ask you both to leave. I do not wish to have wanton destruction in my abode, and clearly you are here for something other than trying to find out who or where, apologies, where Martin is. I've said what I have to say. Now please leave.
Mm. Oh, we shall go. Can you send out William? Also, is he still here?
Mr. Wordsworth left many years ago. I believe his second anthology has just been printed.
So, just so I will recap on what you just said, he was friends with Marty, but he left years ago.
No. Will she pulls a cord at this point, and there's a bell that sounds that even Sally hears, which she suspects to rouse from the rabble downstairs.
Hmm.
William Wordsworth was a patron here many moons ago, and on finding one of his books here left at the house, Martin was inspired to go to the Lake District. That is all I know of it now. And as the door opens, you see individuals that only Sally has seen before. Two men, one with sort of the little moustache, a bit of dribble. Not on him, actually, on his compatriot, a
Oh
much
no.
shorter man. Uh, Again, their foppish hair is like all over the place. They look like they've just woken up.
Tactical dribble.
Yes. They have names. Let me find them. She goes, oh, Ralph. Ralph, George. Our guests were just leaving. I was wondering if you could show them out and make sure they know where the exit is.
Oh yeah, sure. Ralph, would you also point me to the book of Sir William that Marty read, and maybe he left some notes in which part of the lakeside he went to visit.
Ralph is the shorter gentleman. He was almost like it looked like at one point slick back hair, which has gone a little bit all over the place with like two little cowlicks coming down here, wearing a suit and then another cravat with a popped collar. So you know he's a bad un who has popped collars in this day and age.
Right.
Um, Ralph is like, oh, Marty, and Kitty's like, seems I guess will not leave unless they get the things. Yes, go to Martin's room, see if he left that book here, so that our guest can look over it to his peruse and, oh goodness, I don't know, just give that sister some sort of peace of mind. And Ralph goes, well, right away, Mom. George, and George is like, oh, and sees that like there's a little bit of spittle on just, oh, you've got a little bit of oh,
Uh,
uh, uh, quite. Uh, George, see to it that these two people are out, and I'm sure Ralph will accompany you with whatever belongings he has here. And
so,
so George stays, and
mhm.
Ralph rushes off to go find the any belongings left by Martin.
Can I at
Was
least walk a bit behind him, not to follow him fully out, but to see like which part of the
Mm.
like I'm casually walking, like I'm leaving the room,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I'm literally looking to see where which part of the building he's like turning.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you sort of go out. George definitely stops you from going too far.
Yeah.
If you start to go up thing, you can see sort of just roughly that Ralph goes down this gallery and then goes into one of the rooms further back. For story's sake, just so you guys know, it is nowhere near where Sally went. Sally went much deeper
Yeah.
into this place. But yes, you can see Ralph just sort of scurries along like little rat he is to find the store. Bitty, you were going to say something.
yeah, would I be able to tell at all? My impulse is that Kitty is lying when she says that these actual artists have been here and have like gone out into the world and like done things. Is there any way that I can try to get a feeling for whether she actually is lying or if I just suspect that she is?
I think from the previous success from before, you think she's just feeding you tales. It's all very orchestrated. It's all very too like prim and perfect. Like it's almost as if she's practiced this story several times in case people had come uh finding people. And I'd say as you are sort of being led out by George, maybe a couple of seconds later, you see Ralph return and he sort of brings a book, goes, oh, he did leave this, and hands over a copy of William Wordsworth's poetry. Um, and he said, "Oh yeah, a terrible shame, Martin. Yeah, he just wanted to go explore the Lake Districts." And Ralph said, "Yes, yeah, had to leave for daffodils." And they sort of like again, as you sort of leave the thing, Kitty goes. And just sort of shuts the door and clearly has a bit of a tantrum on the other side of the door where you don't see her. She's definitely there's a little scream of indignation, um, and the gentleman says, apologies, we must have to see you out. I'm sure whatever happened it was a mistake, but please
While
and
yeah, while they're trying to lead us out, I'm taking my slowest of times to leave.
yeah.
I'm asking them questions
Hmm.
also because I see they're both kerfuffled about the idea of Marty leaving,
Hmm.
and there it's very much there's the way they tell it is very, how do you say, short and not very eloquent like hers. So I'm like, they have learned the lines, but they have not spun the
Hmm.
story. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to how do you say, make them trip by asking them, have you seen Martin? When was the last time you saw him?
Oh,
Um,
Marty boy.
yeah.
Ralph says. Well, last time I saw him was about a week ago. He was promised to look over one of my plays. He said it had to work on the title a bit.
Mm.
I under
So
his
that's your artistry plays. What
yes.
were you writing?
I'm part playwright, part philosopher. I would say, you know how it is. These ideas that come to me. The title I've settled on for now is The Gorgon's Gaze. I thought I just,
Mm.
it's a bit of
Uh,
Greek myth, a bit of like, it's sort of a play on the male and female gaze, but the Gorgon's gaze, as of Medusa.
very mythical, very
Yes,
airy. Yes, yes.
yeah.
Just trying to like
Mhm.
appeal to their artistry. Again, she's saying it very softly, but in the most nicest way possible.
Yeah, and I think like you stop and talk to them, and then
Yeah,
you go down a few steps and you think of another question and
yeah.
stuff. So so you take forever to get out,
Yeah,
so
I'm
that you
like
can tell that they're
literally stalling, trying to see if Betty can look around, see anything that
yeah,
might give us any other clues.
nice, nice.
Asking them, distracting them, being very much frivolous with them.
Yeah.
And
Would you say then that you would allow Bitty to then to sort of like leave, like because you're getting the attention, you're
mhm,
distracting these two bumbling oafs, so to speak, down the
yes.
stairs. Bitty was a little bit behind them. Are you trying to be like, go and find, go and look? Is that what you're trying to do? Is
I'm
that
like giving her the space to, yes, to see if she can see or find or notice anything while I'm like slowly distracting them,
Mhm.
talking about their art and to have they displayed it anywhere? Do you have
Oh,
anything that I could see? I know people, being the most
you know people. This
hostess of hosts. Yes,
absolutely
yes.
gets the attention of George. He said, "Well,
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm developing a line of menswear. We're thinking sort of like chapless pantaloons. It's
Oh,
very very so yeah. You're like, oh, like
oh
oh
yeah. I'm
dear.
like,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so what I'd say, there's no role for that because you instantly appeal to their better nature. What I'd say, what is Bitty doing? So we'll do something with Bitty, and then we're gonna go to Sally before we go to our break. So what's Bitty thinking?
Yeah, I think I really don't. I know Sally's in here, and I really don't want to leave her in here alone. So I think I'd like to try to get away a little bit,
Hmm.
like maybe sneak away, and have kind of like be carrying my dog in my arms instead of
Yep.
in the purse, with the idea that if somebody catches me, I can quickly be like, "Oh, Ernest like hopped out of my bag. I was just like chasing him." So I'm
That's
not
right.
like letting Ernest go now because I
No, no,
think
no.
that
You.
would be
Yeah, yeah,
distracting, but
yeah.
as like a built-in out.
You've picked him up and you've got lost. Oh no, couldn't find the exit 'cause it's
Yeah.
like that, like that. All right. I'm gonna say again for expediency's sake that that is easy enough. The distraction is so good. You just stop, take Ernest, wake the dog up, like it's awake in your. I just think it's just tiny. This dog, you're just holding it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little white dog,
It
I
gets
think I said
smaller and
last time.
smaller. Like you had a bag, now a purse, now it's like a pocket. I don't know.
Teacup.
So yeah, and so you take a moment and you step back from the stairs and you then turn around very slowly and start to make your way to where you think Sally is, which we'll go to now. So Sally, you this is the thing. You don't need to necessarily roll because you've been in you've lived as servant. You that is your sort of role, so to say. So you have a rough idea of the layout of stuff. So you even know where servant stairs are per se in these houses. So you don't have to go up the big main
Mm.
stair block, and so you don't risk getting caught by any of these patrons who are now starting to wake up quite a bit with the ringing of the bell. There are more individuals sort of coming out, and I'd say for Bitty as well, as you start making way, you can hear like, "Huh? Is it lunchtime already?" And you hear various buffoonery starting to happen, like, "Oh gosh, too bright," all that sort of thing. Sally, as you let me see, you get towards. Let me try and find a little bit so you've got some interesting things. So as you go towards the like the back of the house, where you sort of figure the main rooms would be, where the main sort of chambers would be for uh, a lady and gentleman of the house. You do notice certain things, like certainly the all the rooms, whether they were drawing rooms or galleries or anything like, they've been converted into basically sleeping places for anyone. There are loads of people in here, and you manage to get your way through those as well. To find an actual bedroom, you go right to the back of the house, and as you keep going, that there's it gets very thick in the air. That gloom you sort of saw before, it's not gloom now, but it's just the smell, really intense smell of incense and perfume. And there's the spilled drink on the floor, less vomit back here. You suspect the further you go back, and then the lesser and lesser people you see, that this is actually maybe off limits to the various artists here. This is more the, they don't go here. This is Kitty's sort of private wing, so to speak. I would love for you to do me a let's do a logic observation. Logic observation if that's okay. But I'll also hear anything else. It could be investigation as well if that's better.
No, I'll go with logic observation.
Mhm.
That seems pretty good. I do now have 2 conditions.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mm.
So that is going to only be 2 dice.
Mhm.
And that's 2 5s.
Oh, so close, so close. You can push if you want, but yeah, you don't currently. You don't sort of sense anything. I say there is a way to heal conditions. I did check it up and thing, but unfortunately, you've all split up, which is really annoying. I should have looked at this beforehand, but maybe after the break we can do like a quick scene where people can heal conditions and something like that. Just to, so I don't want you to fail completely at all this, but currently, as you're sort of making through, it is just there's a tang, that sort of wall of hitting where again it's not been aired in some time. There's just smells of stuff of perfume and incense. So it stings the eyes, so to speak. As you climb the stairs, you find sort of the sort of very private sort of gallery where or scullery even where you suspect Kitty's room is. And as you get closer and closer, the smell of that incense, that perfume, gets stronger and stronger until it is the strongest outside a particular door at the end, with like again very beautiful, like almost gilded paintwork on it. And you suspect that this is probably Kitty's room.
I have a handkerchief to my nose.
Yeah, it is powerful. It's sort of spices. What would you like to do?
Well, I feel incense this strong is trying to mask something.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know more. I'm definitely going to go and see if the door is open.
It is.
I take one last little look behind me. Step inside and shut the door behind me.
Mm. The room itself is dark. There's no light coming in here. Or at least like any light that's coming through the windows is little slants, so to speak, because they've been nailed like they're boarded up, so to speak, with curtains and stuff. The room itself is a tip. There is furniture like broken and upended and stuff. A desk where the sort of free vanity mirrors smashed, bits and pieces all over the place, clothing, lots of different clothing on the floor. And the bed itself, as you sort of look to it, your eyes adjusting to the darkness, you can see the bed is four-post thing. Again, you see tears in the curtains, pillows, the feathers everywhere. And then you get it. Now that you're in this room, what that smell was, as you rightly said, what is it masking? There is a slight smell of decay just underneath everything. And you can see that on the bed itself, there's clearly like very old blood stains. Again, dotted out, nothing necessarily big per se. You look on the ground, again, same sort of thing, and you just see it, a little couple of spots, etc., leading to a closet that stands against one of the walls, a huge, big sort of wardrobe.
I think Sally hooks her handbag over the crook of her elbow,
Mm-hmm.
same arm as the holding the handkerchief to her nose. Her gun is out now,
Mm-hmm.
but the hand holding it is shaking as she steps towards the wardrobe. She reaches forward with the handkerchiefed hand
Mm-hmm.
and pulls the door open.
We sort of see that the sort of gildedness in the handle. You see your hand going towards it. And you open the door, and you are greeted by a horrific sight. It's almost like you were mistaken because you have put away clothing before. Bitty, again, not one for organization per se. You've known how to fold clothes and hang them up on various hangers and stuff. This, at a glance, looks like a wardrobe filled with folded clothes. But it's not clothes. you see sort of stacked like cork wood, a pile of individuals, all good-looking young men. The bottom of the pile itself is quite decayed. The smell, again, as you open it, there's almost like a sludge coming onto the floor. You can see actually around the wardrobe, there's a staining of the wood. And on top, you can see various decays of state, young men, scared, frozen in place, almost like, again, half of them eaten. And in the middle of the pile, you recognize the face of Martin Beddoes from the picture that you saw earlier, with a great big bite taken out of his cheek, as if some animal had had its supper. And we'll take a break there, and we'll come back to see what happens at the rest of the house of Newford House. Thank you so much for bearing with us. I appreciate we've gone over a little bit for the break. But go hydrate, stretch, do all the fun things. Maybe consider the choices our players have made by splitting up again in the house of a fae. Thank you so much. And we're going to wave awkwardly until our producer tells us otherwise. Goodbye, and we'll see you soon. Hello, and welcome back to this amazing game of Vaesen, aka the Window Breakers, as I think I'm going to call it in my head now. If you want to try out Vaesen, if you've enjoyed what we've seen here, go check out Free League, and you can go check out on their web store all the different Vaesen books as well. This particular scenario comes from the Mythic Britain and Ireland supplement, so go check that out if you're interested, or just create your own. It's quite fun. And as always, again, if your story is a little bit too much, do take time to take yourself out of it, as I appreciate. And there was a bit of a reveal before the break, which was quite startling. And we'll return to that now. So, Sally, you step back horrified of seeing folded individuals, men upon men, in impossible positions, piled almost at the top of this wardrobe. The higher up bodies, you can tell, are much fresher, and lower down, they're more decayed and deteriorated. And in the middle, roughly, you think maybe seven above and a couple below, is a face you recognize of Martin Beddoes. Sorry. This is where I'm going to ask you to make a fear check for me, please. I get you to choose whether you want to tackle this situation with either your logic or your empathy. And that attribute would tell me how many dice you're going to roll with, essentially. What I would say, and the one thing we'll clarify at the beginning of the stream, because we got fact checked during the break, and I was like, oh, I've made a mistake, which is always good to know, is that those conditions we have, if you have a mental condition, it only affects mental rolls, so logic and empathy. And if you have physical condition, they will only affect your physical roll, so physique and precision. So that's my bad. That I just assumed it. You just took it anyway. So it was being very cruel to these poor players. But just a heads up on that as well. Any mental conditions you have will have a penalty on the fear test you're about to do, Sally. But before you do, as you sort of stumble back, Bitty, how would you think Bitty finds? How do you get to the top of the house? I think is a good question at this point, because you've easily done so. But I'd love to know how you think you got here.
Yeah, I think I'm just kind of I think I'm just kind of thinking the whole time, like, what door I think Sally would go through or like what
Channel
way.
her.
Yeah, and just kind of like closing my eyes a little bit and just
Mhm.
kind of thinking. And I think I am starting to also smell
Yeah.
this strong incense, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna kind of follow my nose, as it were, and maybe Ernest too is like sniffing around a
Yeah.
little bit.
Ernest is like, and then you get to the top of the house and like he doesn't flee or anything like that. Doesn't do anything to scupper your
Yeah.
plans, but definitely just not happy. So maybe you have to put him back in the
Yeah, I took him back into my bag.
into the bag of many things, just like just get in there. So you open the door, and you two will see this as well. But you will not have to do the fear test per se. It was poor Sally that to do it. So because your employer has arrived, you can have your special talent added to this as well, including a +1 for the person in the scene as well. Just to remind the audience, what is your talent, Sally?
Sally has the loyal talent. And she is very loyal indeed to Bitty. And if Bitty is in my presence, then I get a +2 on fear checks.
Absolutely, because you're aware that you sort of ground yourself and realize that the door opens. You hear that
Yeah.
"Roar" as Oscar is being put it back into a bag. Fine, it's completely safe and will not be injured in this whole story.
Yeah.
So yes, you get a +2 from the talent. You get an extra +1 because Bitty is in the room with you, and then you can choose logic or empathy is your attribute that you're going to roll for this.
Okay. Yeah, for Sally, it's definitely about like she is scared. I think we make, but s- Bitty coming into the room has reminded her that her own safety is of less importance right now. So I am going to, with that in mind, I'm going to choose empathy. It is the highest of empathy and logic, but Sally does operate more empathetically. So I think
Yep, and
that's
then as a result
fair.
of that, so you've done all that, and then any mental conditions you take from that fear test as well. Just so
Yeah.
you know.
So I've got 4 dice for
Okay.
empathy. I have
Mhm.
1 for Bitty being in the room, 2 for loyal, and then I remove 1 again because I am
You've got it.
feeling hopeless right now.
Hmm.
Okay.
You got this.
I really don't.
I will say, let me just
That's
double
6
check.
dice.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Let me just double check because I think you can push. I'm just double checking.
What happens if
Sure, I
I
will tell
become
you what
afeared?
happens. Yes, I will
Mm.
tell you. So the fear. So all you had to get, unfortunately, was just a one because it is the fear of these bodies. There's nothing terrifying. You've faced worse Vaesen before, but I think it's because you're caught off guard, so to speak.
Oh no, I'm
You
not breathing.
can push. You can push a roll by acquiring a mental condition, but we'll come back to that in a second. If you fail, you can choose any of the following things to do because basically it's just it's like a fight or flight response. So you can either flee, you must use all your actions to flee from the thing that frightens you, freeze in place, faint, or attack. Those are the 4 things you can do. It's sort of like it sort of gives you a role play thing to do something, so to speak, that is
Okay.
beyond. You just it's almost like a Call of Cthulhu like minor sort of madness. I appreciate not the greatest term here, but like it is
Mhm.
just something that like forces you to do something. It's probably out of character.
Okay, I know what I would like to do
Mhm.
a little bit later in this scene in order to try and clear a condition for Sally.
Mm,
So I actually think this works very well for me to fail the fear and
absolutely.
play into this because it will feed into what has built Sally and why she is where she is. Seeing um, seeing almost like a failure. We've been asked to find Martin. Martin is dead. We're too
Yeah.
late. Bitty is here with me in danger. Now we're in this house with an extremely dangerous fae. She implodes. So the gun is kind of just, I think it just drops to the carpet.
Mhm.
Um, and she doesn't kind of even register Bitty. She's just staring at these bodies,
Mm.
and she's frozen.
Frozen in place. Absolutely. Your body refuses to move, rendering you completely immobile. You cannot talk or perform any actions whatsoever. If you're in a dark or concealed position, it takes a successful vigilance test to spot you. Bitty has spotted you. Don't worry. I'm not going to be like, oh, no one's here. No, not at all. Like you just see that sort of, and yeah, Bitty, I'd say as well. Like you enter the scene, the stench of the thing is overwhelming. You go, oh, you smell it, and you can see what's happening. You maybe don't get as grim a detail of it because of the darkness, but you're sensing that there's just something there that's not moving, but is awful. And maybe the door is slightly ajar as well, so you maybe see a hand or something that's sort of like out of the various piles of people. What would you like to do?
I think I care much more about Sally right now than whatever is in this closet, and I also think by context clues, I'm like, well, okay, I already was not feeling good about Martin's
Well, okay.
survivability.
Yeah, he went to the Lake District, guys. That's what
Yeah,
the
he
big
went to a
Lake District
farm
in the
upstate.
sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, so I think I'd like to avert my eyes from whatever Sally has just seen. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
not looking at it. And want to. I don't think I can like carry Sally out of here. I don't know if she necessarily like needs to be carried, but try to like brace her a little bit, like hands on like her elbows, and kind of trying to get her to look at me instead of
Mhm.
looking at the thing,
Mhm, mhm.
and just say, "It's okay. I'm gonna get you out of here, and everything's gonna be fine." Just trying to calm her down.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can hear the dog in your bag, and it's like trying to lick Sally's hand, perhaps as well, to like,
Yeah.
in case you have any of those eggs from last session somewhere.
The eggs.
Sa-
Always comes back to the protein, you know.
Sally
I
has one of her pieces of equipment is her field kitchen, which
so the
Yeah,
I'll
toilet
explain later
paper.
if it ever comes out. But I'm sure the dogs trying to get into the
yeah.
bag.
You
Like,
think, oh, how sweet Oscar, no, Ernest is like that, and he's like,
Yeah.
he's like leaning out of the
oh,
bag.
he's really caring. No, he's just trying to get
No,
that.
absolutely not.
Some jerky,
What
maybe.
what I'd say, again, obviously with Sally's permission, obviously, you can remove her from this room and shut the door, so you're in that sort of galley, so you're not next to this horrific presence, so to speak. So you're able to, again, maybe unwillingly, maybe stiffly, because you've come across this before as the order, and again, the way you folks see first aid children see things, you can sense, both of you, that in this room there is no other sort of presence or forebodingness in this room. You've just seen the destruction of what such a creature can do, and that you know that you are fully in danger here, but you sort of come out and you are in this sort of safe space just for now. So this is where I can invite you guys. I think it was Bitty you were sort of talking about it. Oh, sorry, no, it's the other way around. But we can do some healing of conditions as well. So to heal mental conditions, it is an empathy inspiration check, whereby you can just talk to each other in a sort of safe space. You have to heal each other's conditions, unfortunately. But just to double check, I think if I read it correctly, she says, try to find it. Oh, it's now searching for it. That's no good. Oh, there it is. Um, healing mental conditions in a safe space where you're having close dialogue to heal 3 conditions per success for someone else. So it's pretty good. So yeah, so we'll go to that scene. You've Bitty, you've brought Sally out and you shut the door and you're just in this very darkened space. But you're both next to each other, and you can hear the sort of little whines of Ernest the dog, just sort of like not distracting you, but it's like trying to comfort you. So what is it that you say to each other?
I think imagining that Betty's probably able to act on this a little bit more quickly maybe than Sally, just from the fear.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of the things that Sally does for me to help like take care of me, and my mind immediately goes to this morning when she was like tending to my hair and like trying to make it look a little more presentable. And so I think I just start kind of like like brushing her hair back, and like kind of trying to soothingly kind of like get some physical like contact on like her head and her shoulders,
Mm.
to just kind of ground you and give like some kind of comfort, kind of helping you look a little bit more presentable as well, like kind of pulling, like your sleeves and things like that. And I do have pretty good empathy and inspiration, so in theory this is
Mhm,
this
mhm.
is a good roll. I have
Best
a
of luck.
-1 to it because I'm still angry, but
Yeah.
oh my gosh, right in the very corner of my dice tray, one little 6.
Whoa, phew. Thank goodness for that. You're like, oh, yeah, because otherwise it would not have worked at all. But yes, so
Yeah.
Sally, you can clear those mental conditions from you. Um, and yeah, maybe you sort of then come back to yourself. The fear itself, I had a quick roll for it. It takes 2 rounds essentially. But now that you're out of the room and you've had a few minutes just to do some deep breathing and stuff, and just suddenly feeling the sort of the wetness of the tongue next to your hand, and feeling the soft sort of murmurs of your employer next to you, you sort of come back to yourself and your body is unfrozen.
I think Sally takes it. She was in shock. Um, she's staring like straight into Bitty's eyes um, as she sort of like comes round. And now, I mean, for the audience, because it came up a little bit in the previous
Mhm.
session, but it was a long time ago. So Bitty has always tried to push kind of a friendship with Sally rather than this kind of working relationship. But Sally has always been very professional and slightly aloof. She's not very touchy-feely anyway. And I think that's not necessarily upset Bitty. You can speak for yourself there, Taylor. But uh, but something has switched in Sally's head now. The previous person that she used to serve has come to mind. Her duties to Bitty, and actually how much Bitty means to her more than just like from a service. And I step forward and throw my arms around you, like, and just pull you into this big hug and like, you're safe. And then I'll step back. Okay, enough of this. We need to end this once and for all. They're in grave danger, all of them. And hopefully I can inspire you all.
Go for it. So yeah, that'll be an empathy inspiration, I think.
I am good at inspiration.
Bitty is definitely surprised by the hug, but returned. Like there's a moment of
Yeah.
like, oh my! It's almost like it's finally happening.
A friend.
We're
friends.
again.
That is 1-6.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So yes, you can clear those mental conditions.
Nice.
So yeah,
No
so yeah,
longer angry.
yeah, you feel the angle sort of bubble at you, and then you're like, and yeah, so being at the top of this house, seeing this devastation, and being lied to and manipulated by this lady, just as Amelia had been from the letter as well. That anger bubbles away to sort of like being more, I don't want to say sensible choices, but definitely like sort of like, what do we do now?
Can I ask one question, Fiona? Mementos, can they heal physical conditions?
I believe so. I think it's any condition.
It's
I will
just a
double check.
condition, isn't it?
Conditions,
I
yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, I will double check just so we've got it, because I've been wrong before about these things, as we know.
I
It's all
think it
good.
is. Yeah.
I think so too. I swear it doesn't. It's not probably not. It's early on, isn't it? It's like page 22.
22.
I think it is page 22.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. A memento is part of your character. In addition, roll on table for mementos. You can click to heal a condition by interacting with it. So yes, it could be. It doesn't specify which one, but it can be any condition. So correct.
Okay. So, like as far as her mental state is concerned, Sally has pulled herself back together. She's like, okay, we're not letting that slip again. She'll step back from the hug, kind of like serious expression on her face again. I need the gun. Wait one moment. And I'll re-enter the room.
Yeah.
Bend down, pick the derringer up.
Mm.
Glance once more at what's in the wardrobe as a kind of almost like a resolve thing.
Mhm.
And then she's going to reach into her handbag and pull out a photograph. It's an old sepia photograph of Lord Archibald Hargreaves, her previous ward, who was killed by a mayor, and Sally has always blamed herself for not acting, for freezing up, just like she has done now. And she looks at Archibald. Never again. And she places the photo down on the bed and walks out of the room.
Yeah, a young individual's, prime of life, very similar to those who have been unceremoniously sort of stuffed into this wardrobe, like unpaired socks. But you feel reassured, and as a result, you can clear your final, I think, was it physical condition you want
I
to
was
clear?
exhausted. I
Yeah.
am now resolved.
Very good. All good. We'll come back to our people at the top of the house. We're going to go to the bottom of the house, where Joan, you are doing your Hercule Poirot, Sherlock Holmes, like talking to individuals as you're slowly going down the stairs, asking your various questions of people. And they again, so far they've sort of entertained this, because no one. It was weird. you feel like that no one ever really asks them questions about their work.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you get a by this point, you've had a really good rundown of what the first act of the Gordon Gaze is. I'll be honest, sounds rubbish. Sounds very interpretive to various things. The wild choices that this gentleman Ralph is sort of talking about. You're like, why aren't there any women in this game?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't there? So you get a sense that it is very much like male gaze, very much like I've had this brilliant original idea, and which is not original. You've heard 20 or so in the many of your years of investigating. Maybe one of your pastimes when you have break between missions is to go to the West End, and you've seen a
I've
story like
seen the
this.
plays. Yes.
You're like, hmm. And the other individual, George, the sort of fashionista type person, talks to you at great length about the ideas of like I said, sort of like uh, like pants, like chapless pants, I think is what I said. Um, Again, you're like, not for me. Uh, no, thank you. But what is it you're trying to do? Because you can see, obviously, Bitty has got away scot-free. It's been several minutes. So you're still very slowly with your sort of cane, sort of walking downstairs and stopping everyone, sort of proper like Mrs. Danbury from Lady
Yes.
Bridgerton. Just
Very,
like,
very,
yeah.
very much taking up my time, taking up my space,
Mhm.
just being very much. I would like to make a kind of a. I don't want to be a loud noise, but see if I can make like trip or something as like so that hopefully I can give a sound clue to my partners that
Mm.
I'm coming to the end of the of the
I
road here.
love that. I think that's
I
such
do
a
not.
smart thing to do. Yeah, I think you could do that. Again, I don't want to make you roll for it because I think, again, the way you're just going to, because I think it's a really cool thing you're doing. You're sort of engaging with these people who don't get that much attention.
Yeah,
And you think that maybe the whole play of this sort of scenario is that men just want a little bit of attention and then
yeah,
they're like put
they
in your
just
hands.
want to tell their horrible
Yeah, they're horrible
stories
little ideas where you're like,
and their
"That's nice,
ideas.
darling." Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you use your cane to maybe hit on the sort of the stair
Yeah,
struts as you sort of go down. So almost like like as you
yeah.
go down. And I'd say like there's definitely lots of people, and I'd say even for Bitty and Sally who are slowly coming down. You definitely hear Jones sort of like talking like again a performance in itself, sort of
Very
like,
boisterous. Yes,
and what did you say? What happens in Act Two of the Gordons?
yes.
So like you can hear this as
Do they
well.
get away from the the gaze of the Gorgon? Just
Well, that's the best part. I was thinking of a sequel called Gorgon Gaze Two, more Gorgon, less gaze. I don't know. I'm still working on the title.
oh, very appealing.
Gordon the
Very.
Gay Gorgon.
Yeah, yeah. So what I'd say, because you're doing a great job of doing that, we'll get you to roll towards the end to see if they suspect something, perhaps.
Mhm.
But I guess for Bitty and for Sally, what is your plan? Because are you trying to get to where Joan is, or are you trying to like what is it you're thinking? Like, do you want to cause a ruckus? Do you want to try and escape somewhere else, or what do you think? Or do you want to go confront Kitty? That is also a thing you can do.
I defer to Sally. It seems like she has
Mhm.
some resolve that I don't quite think I know what to do next.
I know you've done your bit.
Yeah, I thought the window thing was really gonna solve everything. So
Not the
I thought she
window
was gonna
thing is the.
collapse like the Wicked
So
Witch of the
yeah,
West when I did that.
yeah, I'd say as well, probably Sally, you saw that there was like some like patchings of wounds, so you were able
Oh
to
yeah,
like cover up a little bit.
we're getting to that. So, um, yeah, so I think I mean Sally is very sensible and doesn't want Joan left alone and in danger. Just because Bitty
Mm.
is Sally's ward, it doesn't mean she doesn't, um, you know, treat the whole group as a priority. So getting back is paramount, I think, just in terms of safety, particularly
Mhm.
Jones.
Mhm.
But she does, I think, as we're rushing down the corridor, I think Sally is going to be kind of like hurriedly talking to Bitty. Kitty is gaining her power from these men. I don't know how, but having them around is providing her with. We need to break them. I think if one of them sees what's in that room, then it could be a catalyst. And I think it. So we are hurrying, but I think Sally is kind of got her eyes out to see if she can spot one of these gentlemen. And as we're running, she takes out a compact from her thing and is just sort of touching up her makeup, like her eyes in particular, and doing a kind of like a darker uber villain sort of look.
We always have time to do that when we're dashing to places.
Yeah.
I feel
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
done it. You've done it in the hansom cab before,
My
and people go, how did she do it? That's so expert
my
and
my
skilled."
makeup has a mechanical bonus, so I have to get this into the
I love it. You're
story.
kind of like, get it in, do it, do it. I love this sort of stuff.
I'm holding your
Absolutely.
compact for you.
Yeah, yeah, we're going back. I'd say easily enough. Like, yeah, the residents have woken again. The bell, like rang earlier, which you would have heard as well. People are starting to get up and like move around and like, what's going on? So like the army has been roused, but it's the kind of army where it's just annoying. Like you bump into a couple of people. So yeah, there's a couple of gentlemen around. Some of them in various states of undress and anything like that. So you have your pick of the establishment essentially for any individual you'd like to speak to.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I'm gunning for a manipulation roll here. I don't know how this is
Mm-hmm.
going to go, but I am going to sort of stride very confidently up to the nearest person that I see,
Mm-hmm.
do a kind of sharp clap of the hands. Um, Come on, pull yourself together. Things are changing around here.
Oh,
Kitty has
what?
asked us in to get things moving. We have a very, very important patron coming today,
Oh,
and
what?
you can help me by going up, and I'll like direct towards Kitty's
What?
lair. You must go and bring um, her briefcase. It's on the bed.
A
And
special briefcase for all
yeah,
occasions.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's
Oh,
got all her important paperwork,
all the paperwork, all the money. Yeah.
and she'll just be like speaking at 10 to the dozen, kind of like trying to baffle them into.
Yeah, I'd say the individual again. Very. I appreciate. I'm very bad at describing all these different men, but you maybe pull out a young gentleman who has a bit more foppish hair, very sandy, yellowy sort of thing. Looks like he again has a bit of makeup on himself. Clearly, was some sort of performer as well, with like the rosy cheeks, a little bit stained, a little bit again, clearly not wiped off last night's makeup, and definitely a redness around the nose and the lips. And so what? And then you sort of
Come on, young gentleman number 4, chop chop. Um,
oh oh okay. So yeah, that is an empathy manipulation check. He has 3 in this. He's only got empathy, and we'll
okay,
go from there.
I have 6. 1 success.
Ooh, 1 success. I can tell you, I rolled 0 because I
I
can't roll for
was
heck.
banking on Fiona rolling. Yeah,
Rolling
that was.
bad. Yeah, that's just what happens in these games. I can't roll anything. So as soon as basically you get the sense that as with all a big generalization here, with all male presenting artists, all they need is a good talking to, probably from a female figure, and prop them up and give them direction. And he's, oh yes, of course, her briefcase with all the important documents. Absolutely, I will go straight up. I mean, did she ask for me personally because I have been wanting to talk to her about my latest project.
She did number 4. In fact, yes, that's what. Um, sorry,
That's the name
she
of the
doesn't say number
project,
4.
number 4. Yeah, she didn't like the first 3, but she really. Oh, I knew it. Excellent, excellent. I will go post haste, and he starts to like not a run, but definitely at a bit of a jig in his step at being delighted to be chosen to go find her briefcase.
I think as soon as he goes past me, I just look at Bitty and I kind of mouth, briefcase. Anyway, no time.
Absolutely. So you sort of make it to the top of the stairs and sort of head down, and I would say at this point join Joan as you sort of at the entrance hall with, and you see the back of Ralph and George's heads. They look sodden in a sense of sweat as they're having to deal with this very intense person talking to them all about um their stuff, and they're like, yeah, no, well, honestly, we will send you copies. If
Yeah,
you I am more than happy to invite you to the first viewing of the
sure,
fashion if you
sure.
wish to come. I'd very much appreciate it, but we must really insist. If Miss Danville does not want you here anymore, we gotta.
Yeah, we're good. Understandable, understandable. You know. But and then I give them the address of the newspaper there with with the
The Hampstead Gazette.
I'm like, yeah, the Hampstead
Incredible.
Gazette. You can send your yeah the information and stuff there, and they would know how to get in contact
Inspiration.
with
Yeah,
us.
if this game had inspiration, you'd absolutely have it. Unfortunately, it does not. But I again, no need to roll. They are like, we did not realize you were a journalist. Oh, we're finally gonna. Oh, Kitty's been promising for so long that we will have our. Of course, we will write to you immediately and invite you to all the things. We will tell all the gentlemen here all
Yes,
the different
information.
projects and creative activities. We will invite them. Oh, splendid! And they are proper besotted by you, even though they've been told to move you out. But you do see, Joan, that your two colleagues have
Yeah,
appeared and are
I'm
just
like,
whoop behind.
and I'm like, yes, I'm finally rushingly opening the door. Like, we're ready to go.
So yeah, okay, goodbye now, bye. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
bye.
And they're like, okay, well, goodbye, Miss Constance. I can't wait to read about our interview in the.
Yes.
Shut it. So you folks are on the steps currently of this household. What is it that you'd like to do just now? Presumably you'd fill in Joan of what's happened and stuff, but I'll leave that to you now. But have a think about what's your next move. Oh, I think you're muted. You were so shocked by what happened. A briefcase.
Briefcase. They are all in extreme danger.
Hmm. Extreme danger, extreme danger. I never liked this person in the first place. So I say I like Betty's idea. Let's crack open some windows, make some noise, cause some chaos, and then she gets the biggest smile on her face and waved her cane around. And she's like,
So one thing you could also do as well. Again, this is just me to suggest something. You do now have a contact at the police station who has been several times to this household. So you could absolutely chaos. Thumbs up, absolutely for chaos. But if for whatever reason the artists don't move quickly,
Mhm.
there's nothing worse than having a raid per se in the lines and veil sense of like off screen this could happen. So that is something to consider as well, that you do
Yes,
have this contact as well, just
but
putting it there as well.
it's as the police station is not that close by to where we are right
It,
now.
All on
it's
the same
it's
street.
yeah, for plot reasons everything is on the same street.
Ah, nice, sweet. Uh, yeah. So let's get the raid going, but to get them moving, also we should cause some. So what I want to do is coincide the cops, like so we see the cops coming, and we
Yeah.
breaking the windows to cause some type of movement from the inside, so they would, you know, meet in the middle of,
Yeah, so that chaos is sort of happening.
yeah,
Yes.
like
Okay.
rampant chaos. Yes.
Right. So my question then to you, my final team, because I will sort of wrap this up a little bit in a sense. Um, who's doing what? We know one person is very good at breaking windows, but do people want to all work on one and then go to the other? You see what I mean? I want to make sure that each of you have a good final role. You see what I mean before we go to the sort of epilogue of this tale. Um, so what are people thinking?
Um, I think I no, because I have more authority. I might be able to get the cops to come over
Mhm. The police force, yeah.
quicker without having to go through the whole story of what's going on. But like, this is a raid. I have official papers of,
You
investigating
do.
something.
And
And
you've had entanglements with not necessarily this police force, but you are well known to that
yes,
police force for sure.
yes, I
You also
think
know that.
I
Mhm,
can go get the cops, and
mhm.
I would leave the bravely and proudly looking at Betty going, since you know how to break windows.
I look down at my bleeding arm. Yes, yes, I'm
I
quite good at breaking
I
windows.
profess you not use your arms anymore. Stones and then I hand her the my revolver. I'm like the butt of my gun.
Another revolver.
I do the
Someone has
little
to arm
twirly
her.
thing.
Yes.
God. I mean, gunshots would also bring people here, so you're not
Yeah.
I
wrong.
was
But
thinking, yeah.
Oh,
but
this has got
there's
a massive
there's
turn from what I was thinking
sensible
was going to happen.
people. We don't shoot up in the air.
Yeah, it's not cowboys and Hampstead,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so it sounds like Joan is going to go to the police force. What about Sally and Bitty? What are your plans together?
To go first, Bitty.
Um, yeah, I think maybe what I might one of the windows is open, right?
Yes, and
But
presumably
Sally
Sally
came in.
Sally will be
Her
sort of pointing,
shoes.
go, yeah, you grab your
Good
Grab
shoes,
point.
shoes.
yeah, because otherwise you're on gravel and it's like, yeah.
Shockingly, I think instead of breaking windows, at least right away, I'm going to maybe yell, kind of like poke my head in that open window and yell in. And
Mhm.
I think what I'm going to say
Yeah.
is something like I'm going to try to make my voice lower so it sounds like I'm one of the guys. And I'm going to call in the window something I think maybe something like, we need to get cleaned up in here. The police are on their way, and open all the windows, clear everything out. Like, and try to get it so that, like, if Kitty is around, that she's not going to be
Mm,
able to go, like, have free reign of the house to try to get them to try to open
I
the
like
windows
that.
and clean up and get, like, some spring cleaning going.
I like that. Yeah, yeah. It's trying to get them rabble rousing and be like, "We've got a
Yeah.
mission." It's yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
police are coming. Hide the stuff. Hide the booze and all that sort of thing. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about yourself, Sally? What are you thinking?
I think. So Sally has very high empathy type stuff and was going to maybe do a bit of crowd control. But if Bitty's
Hmm.
doing that, I think maybe
I mean, you still can.
I
Sure.
yeah I considered it, but then I also thought maybe if the police are going to be coming from the front and artists are going to be pouring out the front, I might make my way around the back
Mm.
to be like if Kitty tries to escape unseen in a
Ooh.
different direction, I want to hide in the back garden as
Ah,
a,
I
as a
like
last
that.
point of defense.
Yeah. So you want to? Yeah. You see if you can confront her. There. Brilliant. All right. Let's do this one at a time. So, Bitty, you raise yourself. Joan, I think at this point you've gone towards the police station, so
Yeah,
we'll do
I'm
your roll.
already. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're already like I'll go grab them, get the reinforcements, so to speak. So, Bitty, I want you. I know. I think we know what's going to happen, but I'd like you just to role play for us. What is it that you're shouting in to the hubbub of people slowly getting awake?
Yeah, I'm gonna shout in the window and I'm gonna say, the police are on their way! Time to get everything cleaned up! If we don't get everything cleaned up, the windows open, some spring cleaning, we're gonna be Chicago'd! Which is to be beaten soundly, as in a baseball shutout.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's an empathy manipulation check, which you have no conditions on, so that's fine. Yeah, they'll roll as well, but they're going to be at a disadvantage because they are still hungover. So that's one less die for them.
Just what you always want, someone shouting at you. Ooh, 2 successes.
I finally got a success, but you
Oh
killed it out
no.
the water. There's like, well, you say the stuff like Chicago, and it's like, "Ooh," and then you're like, fire, fire, and then like, oh, yeah. And you say you go to different windows, and you say spring cleaning needed, police are coming, fire, hide the booze, and there's just absolute chaos as a result. We cut to the police station. You see Sergeant Gerald like doing his crossword at the Wonder Weekly, and it's like pouring over like, begins with M, female, fish found in Thames, mermaid, and then the doors open. And Joan, what is it that you say to the sergeant at this point to convince the police need
I'm
to?
very sternly going. We have an issue at the manor. I need you to gather all your best officers and follow me. And I look at him and go, questions will be answered when we're there. No stopping. This is
Amazing.
This is official business. Move it. Gag.
Oh, all right. I need an empathy manipulation check. If you've got any mental conditions, that's gonna -1 to this. They will also he will also roll
Um,
as well.
I
Um,
am. I'm angry. Let's say while I'm.
I think you're just angry. I don't think you have
Yep.
any other mental conditions. It's just a -1 to your dice pool.
And empathy and what was it again?
So sorry, it is
Manipulation.
empathy manipulation. Yeah.
So that's 3 minus no 4 minus 1. Yes. 1 6. Yes.
Amazing. Typically, I did not roll anything. He sort of stares at you randomly, and maybe you click that Bitty said something, and you went, "People are biting each other at the colony, at the new house." Just gets his hat, pops it on, and he sort of gets the whistle and blows, and a whole parade of police individuals sort of
Like,
come
chop
marching
chop.
out. Yeah, yeah. They're like, "Yes, madam, of course," and they sort of like come up, and you sort of come up that way, and then finally, sort of towards the back, Sally, you are watching this chaos. It's quite quiet to begin with, and then you start hearing the shouts of fire. Oh, alcohol! Hide it! The police! And then you hear the whistles of the police coming away, and then the chaos ensues. Certainly at the front of the house, you hear crashing and stuff. I think Bitty, at this point, you would have got yourself away from the house to make sure you're not caught up in the fire, so to speak. As artists and police crash into each other. Again, more and more sort of like hitting on heads with truncheons, but like no damage is caused. They are just taken away, arrested for disturbing the peace out of a Sunday morning of all places.
Of course.
Terrible, terrible. With the church bells ringing still in the background.
And I
Um,
did as we are walking, I'm informing
mhm,
the constable about the room
mhm,
that they need to check, and
mm.
it's not safe. Take 3 4 men with you. you know.
Right away, Miss Constance. And can I just say, I really appreciate the work you did on the Red Cap mystery, and
Yes. Yes.
it was reported about greatly in the Wonder Weekly.
Ah,
I'm an admirer of your work.
yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So,
She looks very down at him and going, "Damn, I was so close to liking it." And then
yeah. Um, so,
Moses like go,
Vocal
like
scratch.
tell, yes, go on. We have
I
a case to solve here. You
yeah.
can be a primary source of solving this case. So,
For this, I need for Sally, because you're sort of watching the house to make sure, like, if she's going to come out or anything like that. I need from you, as a sort of the final check, a logic investigation check for me, please.
Oh dear.
Hmm.
Yes, that's one.
That's
1
one.
6.
All right. Okay. You wait like a good couple of minutes. Again, the rabble rousing. There's lots of calls and shouts of various like, "Oh, I say, please, no, that's my book, my work, the Gordon Gaze too, no." All that sort of stuff happens at the front. Um, Out of the back, you see three individuals bundle out, another individual between them in blankets and coats, like sort of hunched over, as they make their escape through the back of the garden. You suspect that Kitty is now making her escape, but there seems to be three other individuals with her, not quite broken from the gaze.
And what's this back garden like? Is there's like a rear gate that they're making their way towards, or?
Yeah, I'd say a very, again, I'm thinking very Bridgerton, so there's lots of topiary, that sort of thing, that
Hmm.
you manage to
Hmm.
hide yourself behind a bush or something. Like easily you can intercept them, but they're clearly making their way towards a gate, which you assume they must have some sort of transportation to take them away from.
I wonder if I can. Could I rush ahead of them, or would that I would definitely be seen?
You probably would be seen at this point.
Yeah, I might step out in front of them and hold the gun up. And because of her upbringing, she can do a good loud, like, two-fingered whistle.
Yeah, I cannot do that, but yeah, woo woo. Yeah, absolutely.
And I wouldn't take another step And if I can see Kitty, I'll be like,
Mhm.
can you be sure these aren't iron bullets?
Oh dear. And you're on your own, aren't you?
Yep.
Cool. Tight.
Bring it
Well,
on,
we're
Fiona.
all around the building. She's not technically on her own, but
Technically, I sounded like I am going to watch the exit to make
I mean,
sure she doesn't
that-
leave.
Yeah, Hampstead has a population.
Mm.
Hey, what about that nosy neighbor?
Oh, weirdly, they don't have houses at the back gardens. So everyone's all
Ah.
front, you see. No. All right, let me find her stats because this is going to be important. Give me 1 second whilst I find it. That's probably what it is there.
You can only use your equipment once, can't you, per
Mm-hmm.
session? Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately so. That's weird. Why is that not? That's definitely not the right list. I'm just trying to find. Yeah, she's gone. I think it's here. Yes. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong book. It's never good. There we go. So you say not, yeah, and you say that word of like the. How can you be sure there's not iron bullets in this? And I need you to. Actually, that's a good point. I'm gonna roll something quickly.
I would like for no sixes
That,
and
that
no
wasn't
potatoes.
that wasn't any dice.
That's a lot of dice you rolled.
She turns around to you. This thing turns around. The gentlemen stop and almost like frozen in place. You sort of see the back of them, and she turns around, and again, it is just not like she's covered in like a blanket or something like that. And you see like an eye look out. She went, I wouldn't do that if I were you, because it's you have to understand. They came to me willingly. I'm not at fault here. Why don't you put the gun down and hand yourself over to the police? I need you to make for me sort of almost like it's like a will check sort of thing like this, and just an empathy manipulation. And go with that.
Oh, well, fingers crossed, because that's what Sally does.
Mm-hmm.
2 6s.
2 6s. There is a moment where the you can feel your hand start to lower, and then you just retighten the grip on it. It does not seem to have had any effect on you, whatever she was doing. There was definitely some sort of feeling that came over you, but didn't make any changes to you.
In that moment of time, I mean, we've heard that whistle now, and as we have done this before, we know that that means come gather, there's trouble.
Oi. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I just raise the derringer back at her, and I look her in the eyes and just say, that might work on boys.
Go ahead then. Shoot me, an innocent woman found at a scene of carnage and stuff. How dare you try and shoot me, a lady of the upper classes who has no idea how all those young men were trapped in my wardrobe. I had no idea whatsoever.
You don't need to explain it to me. And I'm, but Sally is like getting slightly nervous, and she kind of keeps eyeing the, the side of the house, seeing if.
We're coming. We're like I'm moving the fastest I've ever moved.
Absolutely.
Because it's a complete. She's calling her bluff because she doesn't want to fire a gun with a load of police around.
No, exactly. And she's absolutely calling it bluff in that chess. Because here's the thing, Sally. There's many more of people like me. My poor husband, he thought moving from Scotland will keep him safe. I don't suppose my escapades in Edinburgh or Glasgow or even Stirling reached the fine capital. What a shame. He thought bringing me here they would escape all this death, and yet it did not. His poor heart gave out. But then I get to experience the joy, the life, the creativity here. It's just a shame that their poor potential isn't enough. And once it's used up, I have no use for them. Try if you kill me now, then fine, but there are many more of me, and they are oh so hungry for the capital and for the art scene.
I think Sally is being worn down a little bit by that. She kind of, she knows the truth of what she's saying, and Kitty seems to be very good at using truth in ways that aid her cause. And it starts to gnaw at Sally. It's like, oh, yeah, there are just more of you. What? And then I think she looks at Kitty and she says, there may be more. But getting rid of you just opens up the field a little bit for me to find the rest.
While she says that, if Kitty is making a step forward, as I'm turning the corner, I will take a shot, not at her. I don't. Joan doesn't mind causing ruckus with her gun. She's well known with the cops.
I think I think it's a great shout. So I think you come across the scene.
Yeah.
You see the sort of very tense standoff happening.
Yeah.
There are three gentlemen sort of stood around, and you see Kitty is there dressed like with a blanket over her head, obviously to hide some sort of thing, and she's staring. And there's this very intense conversation, but it doesn't look like either of them moved. But you can see that Sally has her gun trained on Kitty. You come around, and what do you want to do? You want to shoot Kitty?
No, I'm not shooting Kitty per se. Just shooting. This time, I'm just shooting in the air as a breaker of tension.
As
Like so,
a in the air above you or in the
yeah,
air above
about yeah,
them?
in the air towards them. So does that they know I'm not willing to take a shot. I'm not Sally. I will shoot if necessary.
Okay. Okay.
Ask questions later.
Fine. We'll do this. I think this is very important. So I need you, because you're shooting with a ranged weapon.
Mhm.
This is going to be. I'm just double checking everything. Uh, da- 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 da, you will be able to reach in the same thing, so that's fine. For ranged attacks, you use range combat, so it'll be physique ranged combat, I believe. Let me just double check before it all goes to pot. I forget all the rules. Range combat is precision. Sorry, precision range
Mhm.
combat.
All right, so I'm
And
gonna.
and if you've
I
got any,
get a bonus of +2,
yeah, so
so
you add
that's
that to your
two
dice pool with your
damage,
gun. Yeah.
and then my precision is 3, so that's
hmm
3, and that's 5 dice. Yes.
All right.
Let's go. No, I will push that. I don't mind.
Ooh.
The
All right. What's the physical condition you're going to take from this?
physical condition will be exhaustion from all
Yeah.
this mental.
You're tired of this
Yeah.
BS.
Yes.
Stupid woman.
I can't. This is getting her old age is finally old aging. It
hmm
shows.
hmm Sounds good. So yeah, go for it.
And let's go. Come on. Yes. One.
One success. Absolutely. So, uh, you manage to do as I said. There's a reason I'm doing this. It's not necessarily you're hitting Kitty, because normally if you roll at least one success, you will hit your target.
Yeah.
It's not the case here. I just wanted to clarify that. But what happens though? You break the tension. There's the sound of that crack shot, which is deafening to yourself and to people. People are scared, and you hear it as well, Bitty as well. You finish calling your calls, and you probably circle around to see what's happening as well. And this creature sort of instantly sees where this bullet is sort of going flying, and she pushes all three of these men towards you, Sally. Like an incredible sort of like the hand you can see it was almost like a claw at this point, like bright, sharp claws. She moves at such a pace that she pushes these men in front of her, and she dashes off towards the Hampstead, leaving them behind. They are sort of they like oh, and they sort of not pile on top of you or anything like that, but they are sort of broken whatever reverie they were in as she tries to run for the Hampstead cap. But you still have your gun trained on her. Would you like to do anything?
Sally would
Because
never normally, but I
I
think
will take a shot again if she's running, and this
Well,
time at her. But
you're preparing to, but I'm just making
yeah,
sure because Sally's got her gun
exactly. Yes,
on
I'm
her. So
waiting
yeah,
for
so we'll
Sally
get
to
to you
do
in a
that.
second. Yeah, but I just want to check with Sally.
I think Sally fires.
All right, roll
It's
that then.
since placing the photo down and making
Mhm,
that resolution that
mhm.
yeah, she
Go for it.
fires.
Oh,
That's
can't see it. So you're
three
going to tell us three successes.
successes.
Wow, amazing work. Again, for expediency's sake, we'll say because then you can get other successes when you do combat as well. And I appreciate we're doing a very bitty version of combat because we're so close to the end. You fire true, and she gets to the gate, and it's just like you fire several at this point, and you see her body react and flinch and hit and fall down to the ground. And later, when you are interviewed by the police, first of all, why on earth are you owning a gun? Both you and Joan Constance are interviewed separately. Bitty is able to get you out eventually through her connections with Sergeant Gerald Hall. You
Oh,
could have.
I own a gun. I'm literally talking to them like, why are you asking why I'm owning a gun?
We found you with a gun,
Yes,
Miss Constance. Do you have?
I have,
It's many hours of
yes,
conversation
of
back and
fighting
forth.
with them. Yes.
But you would swear that when she was hit and when the body fell, it was almost as if her body it disappeared is not the right word, but when it hit the ground, it's sort of almost like a magic trick, like the blankets just went gone,
Mhm, mhm.
as if she didn't exist anymore, as if the wind took the blankets away, as if they were holding it up in some way. This very thin, gaunt person gone. And afterwards, like the police scour the grounds, and they knew gunshots had been fired, and they said somebody got hit. The three gentlemen attest that Miss Kitty Danvers tried to escape and was shot, but then she wasn't there, and they can't remember where they were beforehand or anything like that. Completely gone, disappeared. And to close off, on a train going out of London Euston, heading to the deepest, darkest of the Midlands, because there is a middle to the UK. It's not just north and south. A gentleman with a bowler hat and whatnot gets on the train, probably outside of Milton Keynes. Wanders in and opens one of the carriages. Oh, sorry, miss, I didn't realise the carriage was occupied. And Kitty looks not as beautiful as once she was. Definitely a bit more harried and haggard, tears stained her. Oh, no, it's quite fine. I just had such a terrible time. I'm in ruins and the family is gone. Oh, miss, no, don't worry. Here, I'm somewhat of a good ear for these things. I write lots. Bernard Shaw, pleasure to meet you. Oh, I've heard of some tales of your work. And we will leave our tale there for our wonderful society, our order. Well done, wonderful team. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it was a little bit rushed to the end, but I think we did. I think we did this story
You're
justice.
good. You're good.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm just trying to find my notes because that's all the secrets there. if you enjoyed watching this stream and want to try out Vaesen for yourself, and there was another one shot or two that have been put on this channel, go check out the VODs for it as well. Go check out Vaesen over on the Free League website. You can get your copies there. I'm going to ask this wonderful cast. We're going to go around in the same order that we did in our introductions, just to tell us who they are again, any plug any exciting projects they've got upcoming, and where we can find them on the internet, where they would like to be found, so to speak. Starting off with the wonderful Taylor, please.
Hi, yes, I'm Taylor. You can find me online most places at Roll for Felicity, including my own Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Roll for Felicity. I'll just mention two things that I have coming up. One is this Saturday. I have a series called Over the Table, which is where I gather a couple of guests and we talk about Reddit stories that are specifically TTRPGs. The session this Saturday at 1:30 Eastern is going to be about liars and cheats. So all the stories are going to be kind of revolving around that sort of thing. And then also on my channel, every other Thursday, so not this Thursday, but next Thursday, I've been running a limited series of Wander Home called Shall We? It's a GM-less Wander Home game with me and 4 other people. It's been going really, really well. A little bit sad, a little bit cozy, and also just very silly and funny. So a lot of different feelings there. But you can find all of that stuff, like I said, twitch.tv/Roll for Felicity, and previous episodes of things that I've done on YouTube, whatever, Roll for Felicity, search on YouTube, you'll find it there. But that's me. And also, I want to say thank you so much, Fiona, for this great story. This was so much
Yes.
fun. And then also want to shout out Marcus for producing and doing such a
Yes.
great job on the
Shout out to the
production.
producers in the
I know,
background also.
fantastic. Melissa, please give us any
Yes.
plugs you've got.
Hi, I'm Art Rogue Mel on all socials, and I am a host of an anime podcast. And we're dropping new episodes of My Hero Academia, and we're doing a couple of long running manga reviews. So check us out on, I think, almost every podcast provider. It's AMW, Anime Most Wanted. And yep, that's what I got going right now.
No worries, amazing. And Sakaya, please.
Hello, I have been Sakaya, playing your gun-toting servant, and I have a little streaming ad podcast called The Transmissions. We do 2 shows. We do a podcast called Black Teeth, which is a 1970s-based liminal horror set in North Wales, and then a Dragon Age stream. Both of those things come out or happen on Tuesdays. And then, because Hoard of Tales aren't sick of me yet, tomorrow you can see the first part of a new Thirsty Sword Lesbians 3-parter hosted by the fantastic Liv Kennedy. So that should be great.
I can't wait
Amazing.
to.
That's awesome. Brilliant. Thank you so much, my wonderful Thursday's children. And of course, we remiss of me not to do my own plug. Hello, my name is Fiona. When I'm not being a hoity-toity upper-class woman who's just manipulative, I mean, what are you talking about? I am an improviser and a podcaster. I have 2 podcasts which are RPG related. I've got the What Am I Rolling podcast, and I've got the DM's Book Club. You can find those wherever you listen to podcasts. But I always like to recommend other games that have a similar vibe, or just something I want to shout out that I've been given to sort of look at, because I quite like going, if you like this, you might also like this. So if you have not been bothered too much by Quinn's Quest review that came out today of Vaesen, and do like the looks of the Year Zero engine stuff, I want to recommend, like I did last time, the Tales from the Loop game, role-playing in the 80s that never was. In Tales from the Loop, you play teenagers in the late 1980s solving mysteries connected to the loop, which is a big particle accelerator just so happens to be outside of your hometown. Conveniently, at the time of streaming, I am currently playing in a sponsored actual play of the Tales from the Loop UK campaign setting, They Grow Up So Fast. That's happening over on Cat, the Law Mistress's channel. I'm playing alongside some incredible players, the amazing Ren, Kat herself, Taylor, and it's been GM'd by the wonderful JC Darcy, who's also quite involved with, or has been involved with, Hoard of Tales stuff, which is excellent. The first episode went out yesterday, so go check it out both on the Twitch and it will be on the VODs, I'm sure, at some time. It's very different vibes to this game, so don't worry. There's no real horror, I promise. I think it's the only horror is the teenagers we make along the way, right? Uh, the final thing I want to say is Hoard of Tales. Please follow them on all the different channels. I know if you're watching here, you probably follow them on social medias. You know, the Twitters,
Yes.
the X, if you want to call it that, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, possibly TikTok. I'm an old person, so I don't know about those things. Go check them out wherever you find puzzles to get the latest updates, because some very exciting things coming up soon in June. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I want to thank this amazing cast. Thank you to our wonderful producer Marcus, who's kept us
Yes.
safe
Thank you,
throughout this
Marcus.
whole stream. And with that, we're going to wave goodbye awkwardly until we're out. Much love.
Awkwardly waving.
Have a good one.
Bye.